Ladies and gentlemen, the show will be starting in just 3 minutes' time. I repeat, the show will be starting in just 3 minutes' time.
Welcome to the chase, where the sense of thrill. Ben and John are here and take time stand still. Diving deep where others just pretend. They are guides on this journey, chasing dissent. Chasing dissent, when truth's the quest. Ben and John won't give it a rest. In a maze of facts, they find a way, bringing the dawn of a clearer day. They laugh, they grow, they take no signs through rabbit holes. They take their strides when we're back to their heaven sent. Ben and John chasing dissent. So hit subscribe, don't be content. Join the chase, be omnipresent. With Ben and John, no time is misspent. On the trail with Chasing Dissent. So hit subscribe, don't be content. Join the chase, be omnipresent. With Ben and John, no time is misspent. On the trail with Chasing Dissent. They laugh, they grow, they choose the quest. Ben and John, where truth's the quest. They laugh, they grow, they take no signs through rabbit holes. They take their stride. They laugh, they grow, they take no signs through rabbit holes. They take their strides. When advance to the heaven sent. Ben and John, Chasing Dissent. So hit subscribe, don't be content. Join the chase, be omnipresent. With Ben and John, no time is misspent. On the trail with Chasing Dissent. Dissent. So hit subscribe, don't be content. Join the chase, be omnipresent. With Ben and John, no time is misspent. On the trail with Chasing Dissent.
Woo! Good evening, one and all. I hope you are all well this evening. We are here to cover once again a general election debate in this shit show of a campaign for these two main parties. Well, I say these two main parties because tonight, once again, ITV will be hosting a seven-way debate. That's right, a seven-way debate between the seven main parties, although I still don't quite understand, and as we get into it further, what do you mean I'm repeating? What do you mean I'm repeating? I shouldn't be repeating. What do you mean I'm repeating? If there's something wrong with my audio, tell me now, and I'll get on it. But I hope there isn't. But as I hope as well, you guys will click the like button. You'll stick with me this evening. Now, so far, there is not a stream put up for this debate, which will start in just about 13 minutes time on the ITV News YouTube channel, as there was last week. Why would my audio be repeating? That's strange. Does that make a difference? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. However, we can kill that here. Julie, you might have it in more than one place in your house. Yeah, big night of content tonight, that's for sure, Paul. So we're waiting for a stream to come up, but I do have a backup plan. If they don't put one up on the YouTube channel, I can grab the audio of it, no problem. I've got a place to grab that from. So we can do just audio only, worst case scenario, if they don't go ahead and put it up. But hopefully, just like last week, they will put it on their YouTube channel and we'll be able to grab that feed from there. I'm all ready to do so. If they do, I'll show you here. Look, we've got the ITV News YouTube channel ready to go. We're just waiting for... It starts at 8:30, Beats and Tapes. 8:30, not 7:30. I'm aware of the start time, and whilst we wait for a stream to become active here on their YouTube channel, I thought we might take a little look at the Labour manifesto here and see what some of their goals are for when they inevitably take control of the country next month. So let's just read through the paragraphs here whilst we wait, shall we? Say, Labour's plan to kickstart growth will restore the... Bad start. Restore economic stability with tough new spending rules, allow businesses to plan with a cap on corporation tax at 25%, and a new industrial strategy to give business long-term certainty for investment decisions. It just sounds like a lot of waffle. Like Britmate says, an £8.4 million tax hike overall. Unleash investment with a new national wealth fund to invest in the industries for the future. And Great British Energy, which will not supply any energy to the British people, will not be an energy company, but you will pay for it. It's an investment vehicle. To accelerate the transition to clean power, our plan will create 650,000 jobs in the industries of the future. I highly doubt that. Reform decision-making to shift power away from Westminster to turbocharge the efforts of mayors across the country with new powers over transport, skills, housing and planning and employment support, along with new growth plans for towns across the country. Like Britmate says once again in the chat, that sounds like ULEZ across Britain to me. Reform our jobs market by getting people back into work with careers and job centre reform. A new deal. Haven't they done a new deal before? For working people to make work pay. A new childcare offer to get people into work, and a plan to tackle our health and mental health challenges to get people back to work. You would like me to take a quick minute to explain Great British Energy to you, Vaughan. Great British Energy is a way for us to invest in quote-unquote clean energy and sell it on for a profit. It's not an energy company. It's taxpayers' money to invest in these clean energy wind farms and the things like that, and move it all on to profit. And then that money comes back, that profit comes back into the government coffers, and the government say, we will spend that money on you. Will they? Not so sure that they will. Anyway, John is not with us this evening, Britmate. I apologise. He will be live on the channel on a different stream from 9 PM if you'd like to abandon me, though, when he's talking about flight MH370. So if you feel like that this debate is absolutely draining you mentally, then feel free to move over to there. Of course it's a scam. It's bloody Labour, Vaughan. Reform the immigration and skill system to ensure Britain is developing homegrown skills with workforce plans to meet the needs of industries and the economy. Introduce a modern industrial strategy working in partnership with businesses and workers to grasp the opportunities of new technologies with an AI sector plan, because, AI is really intelligent after all. A new national data library to support cutting-edge research, 10-year budgets for key world innovation institutions, and planning reform to build the data centers and infrastructures we need. So we're going to replace your jobs with AI. Basically, what he's going with there. I was watching a Tim Pool video earlier, and this is AI, right? So Timmy asked AI, did Joe Biden have an accident at the D-Day ceremony? And the AI said, no, of course Joe Biden didn't have an accident. and he made it more specific. He said, Joe Biden appeared to squat down, look uncomfortable, squat back up, squat down again, and is it likely that he soiled himself? This is what Tim Pool asked the AI. He said, no, Joe Biden, there's no way Joe Biden did that. Okay, so then he went back into the same AI, and he asked it, is it likely that an 81-year-old man who squats down, looks uncomfortable, stands up, squats down again, has soiled themselves? And the AI came back and said, yeah, that's really quite likely. This is AI. Actually, the full clip has them all sitting in chairs, says John. Starmer said the audience laughing last night was disrespectful. God knows what he would think of us. Yes, I do have a little clip of that, but I'm just keeping an eye on something at the moment. I will let you know when I have confirmed. Yes, we do have live coverage of the general election debate, so I will be able to bring you that right there and there. The chat is disabled for this stream, apparently, so I will just readjust that at the time of going, or we could just go full screen. Yeah, we'll just do it like that when it's time. But currently speaking, it is not time. And yeah, I'll go over to my Twitter for just a moment here, because we do have a clip of Keir Starmer that I will be able to play you in just a second. I'm doing this all on the fly, to be fair, people. But Keir Starmer said this, and I'll hi to those of you watching on Twitter as well. I can see you over there as well. Feel free to jump in the chat. I think it does cross-reference with YouTube's chat, if you can chat. So just jump on in, and we will have a laugh as well. So I have a clip here from GB News earlier on with Keir Starmer about the toolmaker situation. So here we go.
I laughed when you said your dad's a toolmaker. Why is that? Do you think you've got nothing more to say? Are they getting tired of the same comment?
Let me directly address you on that. My dad worked in a factory all his life. He felt people disrespected him.
Oh.
And
that's not happening with the laughing.
I do want to see this through, because it actually hit a nerve last night.
Yeah.
Because he felt that in the usual conversation, when someone says, what do you do for a living, socially, he would say, I work in a factory. And there'd be a pause where nobody quite knew what to say. And he felt really disrespected. It caused him in his life to withdraw from social engagements. He didn't do it much later in life because it was raw to him that he should be disrespected because he worked in a factory. So when someone laughed last night, my dad would have turned in his grave.
Was that a snobbishness towards your dad, do you think?
I don't know what caused someone to laugh.
No.
But if you're laughing at someone because they work in a factory, then that is the one thing that I think had a massive impact.
Right, I'm going to stop it there, because I'm going to say this loud and clear. Nobody, including us, when we do Toolmaker Bingo here on the channel, is laughing at his father because his father worked in a factory. Jesus Christ, I am more working class than his father. I've got far less money than his father had. What we are laughing at is the fact that we can count on Keir to tell us that his father was a toolmaker. His mother was a nurse. His father worked in a factory. We're counting on that because he just repeats it over and over and over again. Nobody is laughing at the fact that Keir's father was a toolmaker. I mean, he certainly did produce one hell of a tool. He made one hell of a tool. But that's not what we're laughing at. We're laughing at the fact that every time Keir Starmer gets on the bloody debate stage or gets up to a microphone, it's my father was a toolmaker. We know Keir. Vaughan says he's such a disingenuous prick. Is it disingenuity? Is it? John says we are kind of. Well, don't speak for me there, John, because I'm speaking for myself, and I'm saying that the reason that we laugh is because of the fact that he says it over and over and over again. We've got a bloody wheel with phrases on now that we can spin and expect him to say. That's where we are. That's the reality of the situation. Rishi is Del Boy. Rishi's just as much of a dick, to be honest. He is. He's just as much of a dick. But this is your choice. Next month, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for Prime Minister, you either vote for the party that puts Keir Starmer in power, or you vote for the party that puts Rishi Sunak in power. And if you are, quote unquote, on the right, and I'm not saying, we are or anything like that, John might be, but if you are on the right and you vote for anyone other than the Conservatives, the fact of the matter is we have a system called first past the post, which means that your vote is basically meaningless and will put Labour in power. Because that's the way the system works. We see Nigel Farage earlier on saying on the television that he would lead a coalition of the Conservatives and Reform UK. Do ultimately we think that's his goal? Well, he's going to be at the debate in just a minute's time. So we'll see what he has to say tonight, and we'll see if he is just here to troll or if he will simply be the adult in the room unexpectedly yet again. And that's how he came off to me last week, as the adult in the room. Our speakers tonight are the exact same 7 as they were this time last week. And it's just me here to poke fun at them. So I will bring you to the screen because we are expected to start any second now. So let's get the broadcast up to live. We're up to live. We're ready and we are waiting here for the election 2024 7-way debate, round 2. And I just want to thank Emma Watts for becoming an asylum seeker to Veradora. She has joined the channel at the head of this stream, become a 99p a month supporter. We really do appreciate that. So thank you once again. And if you'd like to become a member, then please feel free to do so by clicking the join button. You can even gift memberships to anyone else from just 99 pence a month. And we really do appreciate each and every one of you right here on Chasing Dissent. This is supposed to have started by now, so I'm assuming they're running slightly behind on a delay. So we will see. We will wait for it to come on up. But we are here again. So this is my 3rd or 4th. See, it's all merging into one. We covered the Scottish leaders debate on Monday. Oh, here we go. Let's give it some volume.
Let's meet the 7 politicians vying for your votes over the next 90 minutes.
Hi, I'm Angela Rayner, Labour's
Ginger
deputy
Growler!
leader, and we have a real chance to turn the page and have change in Britain, voting for Labour on the 4th of July.
Oh dear.
I'm Daisy Cooper.
Hi,
I'm the Deputy
Daisy.
Leader of the Liberal Democrats. And tonight I hope to share with you some more details on our plan to save the NHS, tackle the cost of living crisis and to protect our local environment.
Good evening, I'm Penny Mordaunt.
Jesus, she's the Tory and she looks like she's about to walk into a sort of Soviet
Labour
government,
will be
doesn't
trying
she?
not to talk about the ones they're going to put up.
I'm Carla Denyer, co-leader of the
Hi,
Green Party.
Carla.
The Tories are toast, but Labour are offering little better. With the Green Party, you can choose real hope and real change.
I'm Nigel Farage,
It's Big
leader of
Nige,
Reform
the troll
UK.
of the night.
Just before we came on air, we overtook the Conservatives in the national opinion polls. We are now the opposition to Labour.
If that's true, that's quite funny.
SNP at Westminster.
Why is he here?
Put Scotland's interests first.
Why is he here?
Iorwerth, I'm the leader of Plaid Cymru. Tonight I'll make the case for a fairer, more ambitious Wales, but also for a new kind of politics that can matter to you wherever you are.
Look, I don't understand why Plaid and the SNP especially are there.
And
They're
welcome
not
to the
national
ITV
parties.
election debate. It has been a fractious few weeks in the election so far, grappling with issues like the cost of living, tax, the health service,
I don't
and
think they've
immigration.
grappled with any
After our
of these
head-to-head
issues
with Keir
so far.
Starmer and Rishi Sunak
We've covered
tonight,
the debate.
we have leading politicians from the 7 largest parties in Great Britain to hear all of their ideas and plans for tackling the big challenges. And with trust in politics at an all-time low, and when many of us feel
Well, yeah, that's
our political
absolutely
system
correct.
is
Trust in
broken,
politics is
what
at
can
an
they
all-time
say
low.
to restore some
Because we
faith?
don't trust the word any
Well,
of
the
these
format
people
tonight is
say. I
simple.
mean, I know a
We
lot
want
of
to
you do with
focus on
Nigel,
4
but he's
big
still a
questions at the
politician. You've
heart
got to
of this
remember
general
that.
election campaign. Those questions come from ITV viewers, and the questioners
Those
selected
questions
are here
come
in the
from
studio
ITV
with us.
viewers
They will
who we
put their
gave them to on the
questions
way
directly
in.
to the politicians. Each politician will then have an initial uninterrupted reply to the question. After all the politicians have had a response, we will then debate their positions on that question in
So they
depth.
can then
I may
rip
add in some
into one
shorter
another.
questions from the
And
viewers
Nigel
at
can
home
just troll them
to
live.
add to our debate. And you can join in wherever you are by using the hashtag
The contestants have
ITV
probably
debate.
paid
It's
quite
time
a
for
bit
our
tonight.
first topic. We were inundated with questions from people worried about public services, from people who use them and from people who work in them. Asking about that is
Well, we already
Dennis
know what
from
Nigel's
Southport.
answer is going to be. It's going to
I
be too
was
much
born
immigration.
around the time that the NHS was founded. It was an amazing thing, but unfortunately now it is on its knees.
Yes, it is.
So many public services are not working as they used to.
Correct.
Do any of you have any ideas that are big enough to make things work again?
Thank you very much indeed,
Good
Dennis. And a
question
reminder
there,
that
Dennis. Good
Dennis's
question.
obviously talks broadly about the public services, some of which, like health and education, are
Where are we going
devolved
to first? Are we
areas
just
with
going to go
policy
across
set
and start at
directly
Rayner?
in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. I'll come to my first responder, please, to Penny Mordaunt.
Oh, Penny.
Thank you. Well,
Penny
thank you
going first.
for your question. The NHS in particular, it's an act of faith for the people of this country. They want to be able
it's
to rely
not
on
an
it.
act of faith.
But
It's
since the
a
COVID
public
pandemic, the caseload that our healthcare professionals are dealing with has gone up by 43%.
That's because you cancelled
The only
over
way
50%
that
of
we can reduce
surgeries and
those waiting
operations
lists
and
is to
cancer
keep
treatment.
the NHS budget strong. That we have done, that we will continue to do. The only party on this platform that
I'm
has
gonna
ever
call
cut
them
the
out when they're
NHS
talking
budget
shy.
is Labour.
And they're
They cut it 3
absolutely to
times
blame
in Wales. And we
for
have to increase
what's going on in the
number
NHS right now.
of healthcare professionals that we have. We have been doing
Shanti,
that.
that is
70,000
also
more
an issue.
nurses, for example. We have to continue that, and we won't do if we can't retain them in the service because they're being taxed out of it because of their pension.
Thank you very
Brett,
much.
mate, that's
Penny
the point I was
Mordaunt.
making, yeah.
Dennis, thank
you
you
just
for
said
your
it so much
question.
more
And the
eloquently than
NHS
I
is
did.
Quite an important topic for me because I physically wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for the good work that the NHS did. I was a disabled man for 18 years. I know the importance of our public services.
I
but
find
our
this
NHS
strange. I was
in
a
particular.
disabled man for
I think
18
the NHS
years, and just
requires
now
more
I'm
than
not.
anything is clear
I mean, I'd like to
financial
not be
support from
myself.
government
I really
and
would.
a plan for the future. And I'm afraid that Westminster doesn't offer that hope and that certainty. What's baked in under a future Labour
Agent
government is
47 was it,
£18
Hitman?
billion worth
Agent
of public
47?
sector cuts. That's
With the old
equivalent
barcode on the
of
back of his head?
entirety of Scotland's health and social care budget. You deserve better, and the people of Scotland deserve better, which is why people should vote for the SNP at this election in Scotland.
Yeah, but they can vote.
Thank
This
you.
is
Really
why I
happy
asked, why is he here? They can vote for the SNP in Scotland.
We can look at it from
but
two
I can't
sides in
vote
Wales.
for the
Actually,
SNP.
we have suffered, as everybody is,
Same as this
as
twat.
a result of the
Nobody
public
can
spending
vote for
cuts
him.
by 14 years.
Well,
of
if you
the
can, if you're in
Conservatives. But
Wales.
also in Wales, we have had Labour health ministers
why
who've
is he on a
mismanaged health
national debate
for
thing?
25 years. At
Why
the
is the
heart of the
SNP
future
guy
of
on the national
NHS
debate
has got to
thing?
be sustainable. This is
Why are they
sustainability
here?
of funding, which is why I want to see fair funding for
And if you
Wales.
agree with me, hit
It's
the
also got to
goddamn
be the
like button.
sustainability
Come
of
on,
the
people.
workforce. The NHS is nothing without
And the
its
share
workforce.
button.
That's why we say we want to recruit 500 extra GPs into the NHS. But two core principles. One, we absolutely have to pledge to keep the NHS free at the point of need, and also to keep privatisation out of the NHS. And it pains so many people to see Labour's Wes Keating talking so warmly about bringing the private sector
I have
into
had
the NHS.
faster
Thank you very
appointments
much
being a
indeed,
disabled
Rayner.
man because of
Nigel Farage.
private companies
Dennis,
offering
the
services
NHS
that were
has two
free at the
fundamental
point of
problems.
view.
One, Penny mentioned, caseloads up by 43%. Why? Because we have an exploding population. All of our public services are under pressure because the population has increased.
Told you he was
by
going to say
6
it.
million
Told you
since
he
the
was going to say
Conservatives
it.
came to power. It's impossible to keep up. Secondly, everyone talks about more money, more money. We've massively increased the amount we spend on the NHS. We've gone from spending about 7% of the national cake to over 11% of the national cake for worse and worse returns. And we need to look at countries like France, who spend exactly the same sum of money, but get far better services by people paying in to an insurance fund.
I have to
It acts on a mutual basis.
Shalini.
Those that can't pay don't.
YouTube rule.
They get better results. Let's think more broadly.
Thank you very much indeed. Carla Denyer.
Dennis, you're right, the NHS is in crisis, and the Conservatives' answer of a workforce plan doesn't help when they're refusing to pay healthcare workers properly. They're pouring water into a leaky bucket because
I'm
people
seeing some
are leaving the
wonderful
service
points in the
for
chat
better
here.
pay and better conditions elsewhere.
Wonderful
It also
point.
doesn't help what Labour are proposing, opening the door to more privatisation in our health service.
Well, they opened it to begin with.
The answer is investment, and that's why the Green Party is clear that we would make transformative investment into
yes,
not only
Carla.
the NHS but also
Hello,
social
Carla.
care, which helps take the pressure off the NHS.
Oh.
The Green Party will always stand for an NHS for people, not profit.
Thank you, Carla Denyer. Angela Rayner.
Thank you, Dennis, for your question.
Ginger
The NHS is one of our proudest
growler.
achievements, and it will become Labour that will have to fix it again. Before I was an MP, I was a Unison rep and I was a home care worker, and in 2010, the Tories, aided and abetted by the Lib Dems, created austerity, which meant many of our workforce were made redundant, and now we've got the crisis in the NHS. So we've got to fix the workforce problem, and we've got to invest. That's why we then the non-dom tax status, so we can put 40,000 new appointments, and we'll use up private sector to bring down those waiting lists, but the NHS will remain a public service
like
under
I
Labour,
said,
and will
okay.
also fix the problem in our social care, because if you don't take
I
the
have
two
to provide
together,
some kind
then
of
you won't
balance.
fix
Yeah, I
them.
can rip the
And we've
piss
also
at them,
said
but these
on the
private
VAT on
companies
private
that
schools, give
have
us 6,500
given me
qualified teachers in our classroom
better
to fix
service
our
than
education as
direct
well.
frontline
very much,
NHS,
Angela
are free at
Rayner.
the point
Daisy
of use,
Cooper.
are working with
Dennis,
the NHS,
I have heard
and you can
different versions
only
of your questions
speak
time
to your
and
own
time again.
experience.
I hear from people
surely.
all over the country. They're working hard, they're striving, they're supporting their families, they're paying
Right.
their taxes, and when they go to use their public services, whether it's the NHS, whether it's schools, whether it's the police or anything else, they're broken. They're completely broken, and nothing works.
Yes.
Now, in this election, we Liberal Democrats have said that our manifesto is a manifesto to save the NHS and social care. We're pledging £9 billion
But this is
to invest
now, Daisy,
upstream.
the
We see on the
immigration
TV
election.
all these disastrous
Whether
pictures
you
of people
like it
dying
or
in the
not,
back of ambulances, suffering
that's
the
what it is.
indignity of corridor care because they can't see a GP, they can't see a dentist, and that's what we want to fix. So under Liberal Democrats, you'll have 8,000 more GPs, we'll fix the dental crisis, and we'll invest free personal social care so people can get all the care they need when they need it.
Daisy Cooper, thank you very much indeed. And just to return to Dennis's question, he was born around the time the NHS was founded. He's seen it over all of these years, haven't you, Dennis? Saying it's now on its knees in so many other areas of public services, which we will also touch on beside the NHS. Things are just not working. This is what we've heard time and again from our questioners. The key thing that Dennis is asking is, do you have ideas that are big enough? Angela Rayner.
Well, yes, we've also said not only do we need that investment, but we do need the reform. We need the technologies as well, because our NHS is world leading, and then we need to have those scanners and the new technology so that we can have the best possible care for people. That will also bring around, with that reform, efficiencies in the way that people work.
Why isn't she blinking?
So we're open to that to make sure that people get the support that they need. But we've got to fix the social care crisis as well.
But what Angela's refusing to admit there is what was referred to earlier, which is the shadow health secretary.
Agent
essentially saying
47
he's going
back
to
up
hold
there,
the door
people.
open to the private sector. Now, that is not... He did say that, and that is not...
That's not true.
Where the answer lies. The answer
Well,
lies
I'll
in
answer that
investment.
directly.
And when it comes
the
to
bitching
staffing,
begins.
Let's just pause there and allow her to answer that directly, and then I'll come back to you.
I'll answer that directly. Wes Streeton has said, in order to bring the record high waiting list down, that we would use up capacity in the private sector
certainly
to
had
bring
Botox, hasn't
the
she?
waiting list down.
She's
Rather
full
than
of the
keep
Botox.
people on waiting lists, waiting for years for an operation that they desperately need,
Angelo.
we think that's the right way.
Okay.
But it will always be a publicly owned NHS under Labour.
Angelo, all of us
Stepford wife
are aware of what
syndrome,
Wes
says
has said,
Espresso
and he may
Mechanic
deny it,
TV.
but the reality is he said he wants privatisation. It goes beyond just hospitals as well. And when we talk about staffing, because staffing is an enormous issue, the elephant in the room is the fact that it's not migration is the problem, it's the fact that we need more people coming in to work in our hospitals and to work in our social care sector, which has been decimated by your Brexit.
Isn't the point? All we want is for it to be free at the point of delivery. That's what matters. And actually, Labour are quite right to say, let's use the private sector to try and reduce some of the waiting lists. Why not actually give people tax relief on paying money into private insurance to relieve more of the pressure?
I chose my words carefully. It's the warm words which Wes Streeting has used to describe the role he sees it for the private sector in the NHS. And the problem with that, you see, is that if you're allowing the scarce funding that we all agree there is within the NHS to be leaked out of the NHS in private profit, rather than doing things like setting up the
England
system that Plaid Cymru proposes in this election, you're not
because they don't control that.
Thank you. Let me bring in.
I think
they have no say in
that because I think we should just keep political dogma out of the public sector and public services. The public, we're all politicians up here, but most of the public don't care what colour the cat is. They just want some mice caught. That's what they want. They want results. And in my experience, listening to people who are actually doing these jobs, police officers who have reduced crime by half over the time we've been in office, healthcare professionals who are coming up with amazing initiatives in our hospitals.
You reduce crime by half when you just refuse to
who
investigate half the crimes.
90% of our schools are good or outstanding. Listen to the professionals in these services. Keep political dogma out of it.
Thank you. I'll come to you in a moment, Carla Denyer. On that issue of private involvement in the NHS, speak to Penny Mordaunt from the Lib Dems perspective. Daisy Cooper.
Well, to be honest, where there is capacity in the private sector, we could be using some of it in order to bring down the waiting list. But let's not kid ourselves. There is very limited capacity in the private sector, and we shouldn't be using it if it guts more capacity from the NHS. One of the problems we've had over the last 2 years, as you know,
the Lib Dems are campaigning hard, but not with Mr. Ed.
Some people go to see their GP. Your party promised 6,000 more GPs.
Actual
we now have fewer
Ed Davey, he's doing all the campaigning.
We have dentists fleeing the NHS and working privately because the dental contract is so broken and hasn't been fixed. Boris Johnson stood on the steps of Downing Street and promised to fix social care once and for good.
I can tell you why.
And it's now in crisis.
I can tell you why all the ladies have to slap.
Is to fix the front door with more GPs and dentists,
and that's because
to fix the back door
they're being broadcast in 4K.
And it's that simple. The number of healthcare professionals,
and they're leaving. One in, one out.
We have 70,000 more nurses.
You're pouring into a leaky bucket.
We have a dental recovery plan.
It's not working.
New providers coming in.
Mr. Edge is going, nay,
working. This is the only way.
What about the junior doctors?
Having a
what about the 40 new hospitals?
This is the only way we are going to get waiting lists down. What won't
Nigel
get waiting lists down
is
cutting the budget and taxing healthcare professionals. Which is
yes, Shalini, iron them wrinkles out.
Carla Denyer, you have a big offer on the spending for the NHS. There are a lot of questions about that. Talk us through your big idea for the health service.
First of all, I want to say to Penny, decent investment in public services is
she
not
really is little, isn't she?
It's common sense. It's what people want to see.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying having a row about the sectors is wrong.
Sorry.
Decent investment in public services is common sense. It's what the public want to see, an NHS well-funded in public hands so that it can do its job. And Dennis was trying to get out of the panellists
when the population keeps growing at the rate that it does?
The Green Party's big idea
it's a genuine question.
is decent investment in public services,
and the only person broaching it is Nigel Farage.
We want to make the economy fairer so that the billionaires and multi-millionaires, those with the broadest shoulders who can easily afford to, pay a bit extra to fund the public services. Look, Paul, I'm not exactly a tall man, right?
She's shorter than me. They're leaving already. Even under a Conservative government, we've got a brain drain, the likes of which we haven't had since 1978.
Can I come back on that specifically?
And if Labour are in power, maybe with your support, what will happen is even more will leave. Just taxing the rich doesn't solve this. And everyone here is talking about more investment. I'm telling you, we've massively increased investment in the NHS for a worse return. It's not just about money.
Carla Denyer.
Which I did say about reform as well.
I'll introduce some facts to this debate. When the rules on non-dom status were changed in this country in 2017, there was no difference in who was leaving the country amongst those that were affected by that change and those who weren't.
That's a little bit unfair, mate, because our Shalini, she's a wee pixie and she's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
I think we do have to invest in our public services, and we've said that. Austerity was very damaging for our public service and actually cost us more in the long run, and people are not getting the care that they need. But
that was the point that I was just making there, Shalini.
And we do need the new technologies that will help as well to bring those efficiencies.
Fighting your corner.
Your party is committed to continuing with £18 billion worth of public sector. Don't shake your head that this
I
isn't
don't know
my
why
words, this
he's
is the
there.
IFS.
I'm going to say
IFS
this
have
every
outlined
time
the
he
conspiracy
speaks,
of silence
and
between the Labour
the Welsh
Party and the Conservative
Plaid
Party
Cymru
on
guy,
£18 billion
because their
of
policies
the public sector cuts. How is that
do
going to
not
help
speak to me.
public sector
They do
services?
not
It's
speak
not.
to anybody
can
in
you
England
respond
or in
directly on
Northern
that point
Ireland.
about the £18 billion worth of cuts that Stephen Flynn he is pointing to? Just
yes,
answer
because
that.
at the moment we've had flat growth and really poor growth in this country, and we're not going to be able to tax our way out of the disastrous
I'm telling you, she's not
situation
human.
that's
She's an
already.
AI.
But what we
Isn't
are going
she?
to do
Look.
is we're going to have a growth strategy with an industrial
We're gonna
strategy,
have a
with a
growth
skills
strategy.
which will enable
A
us to
skills
grow
strategy.
the economy so that we can pay for our
Grow
public
the
services.
economy.
We can't tax our way out of this. We've got the highest tax burden.
But that is
in
exactly
she's an
what
AI.
we're going to do.
She's an AI.
We have a black hole of 38.5 billion. Their
I don't know how
manifesto
you could
was
talk
published
about
today.
black holes.
Labour's manifesto was published today.
Yes, Shalini, she's a robot. Penny, she really does look like she's about to walk into like a Stalinist Soviet government, doesn't she? She looks very oppressive in what she's wearing.
That's the demand. The only way they are going to be able to do
comrade,
that
it is me,
is to raise
Penny
taxes.
Mordaunt.
They've only declared about a quarter of the taxes they're going to put up. They're going to have to put up a lot more, and they haven't yet told you how they're going to do that.
Angela Rayner respond to
You can't afford that. You cannot afford that.
You can't afford another
It's
5
breaking
years.
down.
The Tories, you're promising tax cuts when you've already done that once.
Last-
The economy once.
Last Thursday, this exact same thing happened. The women just started arguing with one
When it comes to
another.
tax, the Conservatives have made
And
a very
Nigel
clear
just
choice
stood back
to
and was just like,
increase
yep,
taxes
cat
on
fight.
working people,
That's
on
not
struggling
true.
families. That's happened
That's not
more
true.
and more times. You have raised
That's not
tax
true.
to the highest level in almost 80 years. What Liberal Democrats,
Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's move on.
struggling families during the cost of living crisis.
That
But
is
we would
not
look
true.
to the big banks, to the big tech companies who can pay a little bit more to fund our public services.
Come on, Julie. Julie, get them under control. You're the moderator, Julie. Get them under control.
Pause on that point. And actually, I know Rayner.
If I could make it, I had to draw attention to the analogy with the cats and the mice here. What we've seen.
Yeah, well, there was a cat fight going on there. But why is he here?
Getting rich and getting the cream.
Why is he here?
Fear that with privatisation in the NHS, we're going to see the same under Labour.
You, in an interview last night on a colleague's channel, said that tax is a good thing when it comes to public services. Tell the other people on this platform why you believe tax is a good thing.
This is the honesty that we need in this debate. We can't have a decent NHS. We can't have good schools unless we have a fair taxation system that brings the money in to pay for those services. The taxation system has to be fair. We have to have honesty. And the taxation has to be fair in that the weight is borne by the shoulders of those who have the broadest shoulders, be it corporates or the very, very wealthy.
We have to spend money wisely. Just pump. Folks, I've explained to you, we've massively increased over the last few years the percentage of the national cake we put into the NHS.
Clearly he is
for a
there
worse
to annoy me,
return.
Emma. Same
Does
with the
nobody else
bloody
acknowledge we
SMP
need
guy.
to spend the money better?
Of course we do. That's why Liberal Democrats are saying you invest it upstream because prevention is better than cure. If you have more GPs, you solve the dental crisis, you have access to mental health hubs in communities, people can access care when they need it, and you don't end up firefighting all the problems in A&E, in ambulances.
Well, if you hadn't shut down the NHS effectively for 2.5, 3 years, we might not be in the situation that we were in right now. Well,
I'd like to know from Angela, why so timid? Why wait for economic growth when you could introduce a tax that doesn't affect those on average incomes or low incomes? It only affects the billionaires and multimillionaires. It could raise tens of billions of pounds. Why won't Labour even consider it?
I'm not a communist.
I've never
and
been
I
called
don't
timid
think
in my
that
life,
somebody
but
who has more money
coming back
should
to the point
pay
that Nigel
more,
made and Daisy was making
higher
the same
rate.
point. Look, I was a
They
home
should
care
pay
worker.
the
We
same
gut
rate,
out home care services.
but on
it costs
more
so
money.
much more money now.
Therefore,
that
they would
people
provide
are stuck
more
on
money.
trolleys in A&E for 40
But that's
hours
just my
plus.
opinion.
These are our
I
elderly
celebrate
relatives
success.
that
I've
are
had no
treated
success
really
myself
poorly,
in my
and
life,
it costs
but
us
I
more
don't
money. So
begrudge
if we
those
put
who
the
do. But
money
this lot
in
do.
the
They
right
want to
place,
take from
we
them.
can actually
They just
make
want to
savings.
steal from
I
them.
did that when I was a home care and trade union rep. I
And
know we can do it
how
again, but at the moment we're
does that
hemorrhaging
foster
money
investment
because
in
the
this
money
country?
is being
How?
used in the most inappropriate way,
When
and people are not getting
multinational
the care
corporations
they want.
and billionaires look at the UK as a place to do business, how
Thank you. We're
when they
anchoring
see
all of
the
our
amount that they are
debate tonight
taxed
in the questions
additionally,
that have been so
is it
kindly
an
provided
attractive
by our
proposition
audience, which
for
we're
them?
very grateful for. It was clear, actually, when Dennis was posing that
off the
question,
top
as
of my
I
head
alluded
question.
to earlier, it's not just the NHS, of course, that he's talking about. He's talking about a whole range of public services. We've received messages from hundreds of teachers across the United Kingdom. They are all saying schools are in crisis, that there are not enough teachers. We
And
even
if you
had
agree
a
with me
message
again,
from
hit the
a
like button.
12-year-old
I'm going
who
to keep
said his
saying it until you all
school
do.
is literally crumbling. Be honest, do you think our education system is still world class?
No!
I think it is world class, and we have improved. Well, when we took office,
I like the
literacy
audience there
rates were
laughing
trailing
back.
the world.
Our
Now they are
indoctrination
leading
system, not
them.
our
We have
education
90%
system.
of our schools are good or outstanding, and we have undertaken an enormous refurbishment programme. I mean, just in my own patch, we've rebuilt several schools. We have a university technical college. Investment has gone in, and we've also increased the numbers of teachers that we have.
They are delusional, Emma, correct.
30,000 more teachers. That is absolutely vital, and education standards are going up as a direct consequence of that.
There's been some difficult questions for
Do you know
the
what?
SNP on education.
DEI stands for didn't earn it. That's what DEI stands for, as far as I'm concerned.
The SNP and what happens in Scotland.
Why is
and the
he
Labour Party and
there?
Conservative Party, and what happens in Westminster and England is the fact that for our young people in Scotland,
I
they
honestly
go to
don't think this
university
guy's
and they
these
don't
two
pay a
should be here
penny
on the national
in tuition
stage.
fees.
But you're still
really
down
don't.
the international rankings.
Absolutely life-changing. And I don't know if the Lib Dems agree with tuition fees or not. They've got quite a record in, in that
Agent
regard.
47, correct, mate. That's what we are calling him. Agent 47.
Respond to Stephen Flynn. Do you talk to Stephen Flynn?
Well, on the question of tuition fees, we were punished for that. That's democracy. I get that.
Do you still believe in free tuition?
Well, you did it,
As
didn't
I say,
you?
on the point of tuition fees, we were punished for that, right?
But what's your position now? What's your policy now?
In 2015, when we were out of coalition, the thing that the Conservatives did on their own is they removed maintenance grants, the grants that were there for the poorest students to give them a shot at going to university. And we have said that we would put those back in place. But when it comes to education, we will not take lessons
so you still believe in
from the
tuition
SNP.
fees? You still believe
Of course they still believe in tuition fees. They introduced them when they were in coalition. That's what Lib Dems did.
Carla Denyer.
The teachers that have written in are right.
Oh,
like almost all of
it's
our public
Carla.
services, our
Hi,
education
Carla.
system is being
Oh.
run into the ground. And I was really glad to see the National
got paid
Education
a
Union
fiver
came
to
out
be there,
yesterday
Ben,
to
Agent
welcome the Green Party
47.
manifesto. It said that the Green Party manifesto is the only party manifesto out so far that meets the scale of the challenges in the education sector. And it's time to invest
Bollocks.
in teachers, in their pay, in school
Bollocks.
buildings, in making schools more than just exam factories and giving young people what they need for life.
Nigel Farage.
Scotland was world class at one point. It certainly,
still is
certainly
world-class now.
isn't now. It's gone right down the international rankings. Look, there is a problem. We know the buildings, the rack concrete, all of that, but we are back to the subject that nobody wants to discuss. The exploding population means our schools, our class sizes are getting bigger. Of course, we've recruited more teachers. We need more teachers with an exploding population. And it's a constant problem that none of the other panellists even want to discuss.
Angela Rayner. Tell Nigel Farage about the policy that you have on finding new teachers.
Well, first of all, I respectfully disagree that we have the
Yeah, but you're
exploding
gonna
population
respectfully-
in our,
Well, you're
in our schools.
wrong,
We have falling
Angela.
roles in our schools
Okay,
at the moment, actually, and that
she's
is a
wrong.
problem
Well, at primary
for
level,
many of our primary
I
schools. But what
respectfully
we've said is that we
disagree
would
with
end
reality,
the
Nigel.
VAT tax break on private schools to put 6,500
Oh, sorry, you
qualified
won't do it like
teachers
this.
in the classroom.
I
We've got
respectfully
teachers
disagree with
teaching lessons
reality,
that they're not qualified
Nigel.
in at the moment. We think that every child should have
Jesus,
a
she is an
qualified
AI,
teacher
isn't she?
in the classroom. And we had the Tories who knew and were warned about RAC and the problems with our schools' buildings at the moment. We've got more temporary classrooms because of that, because they did nothing, but they cut the capital budget for schools at the same time, knowing full well that there was dangers with RAC buildings.
OK, Nigel Farage and then Penny Mordaunt.
Look, you know, if you put 20% on private school fees, all you'll finish up with a lot more, probably 25% of those currently in private school will then be a burden
Yes,
for
because they're going to the state school.
It is a self-defeating policy
Of course
that
it
removes
is.
parental choice.
OK.
Well, Nigel, those schools could...
OK, thank you.
Our state schools have had austerity and have cuts and cuts. Those schools could absorb some of those costs so they didn't have to pass it on to all of the people.
So you're happy with more pupils going into the state sector?
But we cannot afford to give private schools a tax break when our state system cannot
I'm not
have the
going to lie,
right
I
teachers in
think
the
we
classroom.
can
So
afford
they
to do that, yeah.
In
Thank you,
addition,
Nigel
in
Farage.
2010, in addition to there being no money left, IFOI, the Department of Education, conversation about the Building Schools for the Future programme. They weren't even looking at secondary schools in that programme. And what Angela and the Labour Party are going to do is, unbelievably, they are going to tax education. The result of that
is what they're going to do. So she can't say
their kids to the schools
that they won't do that,
but also,
because that is what they will do.
This week, class sizes will go up
Comrade Penny
as a
is correct.
It's crazy. It doesn't serve anyone, and it's the kind of dogma that we need to keep out of the public sector.
Penny Mordaunt, thank you. Rayner,
Wales was one of the first literate countries in the whole world, and it pains me to see what's happened in the 25 years of
Wisely Evans
in
there.
Wales, and it pains me again to see the impacts of public spending cuts by the Conservative government. Now, I don't know how Angela Rayner
but aren't you in charge of education, or at least Welsh Labour
school in England will make a difference to the standards of education? But I'll tell you one thing:
I don't know how the Tories would be responsible for that. That's why I ask why he's here.
That our workforce feel supported. It's in good wages, but it's also in knowing that government is on their side, and neither in Wales nor in the rest.
Shalini, that is an option.
Can they say that that's the case?
But
okay,
again,
I'm going to
in our manifesto we have the school support staff negotiating body, which is around the whole of the support staff as well as teachers, which I believe will make a difference.
Thank you very much. We've had
just because you
many
believe something, Angela, doesn't mean that it's
question
true.
About public services, we've had
there is a
thousands
different
of questions from our viewers.
I know
about
Lee
the
Evans
scale of
isn't
the
very
problems in
funny
the public
tonight. He's
services
not running
against
across the stage. He's not. Well, he might be sweating bollocks behind that. So you
I
never
know
know.
that everybody here and at home will have listened with great interest in what you've had to say. All of those perspectives, from reform to
half an hour on that
to
one
tax,
question.
a lot of things to
on
think
their
about.
introductions and that
stay
one
with
question.
Us. After the break, we will be talking about immigration, trust in politics, and yes, Brexit. After the break. See you shortly.
After the break. Well, so far, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have what's known as a shit show on our hands. We have 7 disingenuous hacks, and, well, 6 disingenuous hacks, and Nigel Farage very much enjoying taking the piss out of those 6 disingenuous hacks, standing upon the stage and being disingenuous hacks. There's another hour of this. I repeat, there's another hour of this, and I will endeavour to strive to stay the course for you. I will do this for you, but I need something from you, boys and girls. I need you to hit the like button. Come on. I need you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And, of course, click that share button. And once again, I'd like to thank Emma, our newest channel member, for becoming a member at the Asylum Seeker level at the head of the stream. Thank you very much, Emma, for that. Really, really appreciate it. And if you want to do that little bit extra and go that little bit further, you can click the join button and become an Asylum Seeker or other levels from just 99p a month to help us out and help us grow. And we'd really appreciate that. You can also gift memberships, the 99p memberships, to the other people in the chat right now if you feel like you'd like to do that. And once we've got a few members, we'll start doing a lot more members-only content. What we've started doing for some of the videos that we put out, and I know they're a bit rarer these days, we're doing a lot more streams, but we're releasing them like 8 to 12 hours early for members. I know it's not a lot at the moment, but as we get more, and hopefully we'll do more for the members. So let's have a look at some of the comments here. Pure Theatre, says Shanti. Yeah, no, can't disagree. I'm not going to lie. Cannot disagree. What else have we got here? We've got All the World's the Stage, says Arshalini. I'm assuming that's in response to Shanti. Thank you from Emma. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, I have a weird crush on Horseface, says RCW. RCW likes Mr. Ed. I'm assuming you mean... is that RCW? Yeah, it is. I'm assuming you mean Daisy Cooper of the Liberal Democrats. And once again, I need to make the point that it's weird putting her up when all of the actual campaigning, all of the fun bits are being done by Ed Davey. So instead of actual Ed, you're putting up Mr. Ed. Doesn't make much sense, does it? Obviously tonight we will not be playing Toolmaker Bingo, because son of a toolmaker himself, Keir Starmer, is not present, and we also won't be playing I didn't have Sky TV Bingo, because Richland Roland Ratsunak is also not present I'm sure we'll be getting back to the debate in just a minute when they come back from adverts. And like she said, there's plenty more for them to moan about and slag each other off about and just, you know, be disingenuous hacks to you about. So as soon as the 6 disingenuous hacks and the troll Nigel Farage appear back on the screen, we will get straight back into it. We'll dive straight back into it. Good evening to our elusive third member of the channel, our third host, Natalie C, there in the chat. Very lovely to see you this evening. I hope you are packed and ready to go on your little trip this weekend. And don't forget, you need to make a vlog for The Real Review UK. That's the second channel, if you want to go over there. Nothing to do with news, nothing to do with politics. It's all travel, movies, real life stuff, and a bit of positivity that we like to bring into people's lives. And yeah, come and join us over there if you'd like. We are back with the disingenuous hacks.
Election debate. A reminder that you can join in the conversation we're having tonight using the hashtag ITV debate. Now let's get straight on to our next question from Christine from Manchester. Christine.
Hi, Christine.
I keep hearing
Hi,
that
Christine.
migration levels are too high and getting higher, and it's a strain on public services. But I understand we as a country need some foreign workers. What are you going to do?
Thank you very much indeed, Christine. Angela Rayner.
Thanks, Christine. And what we need at the moment is a skills strategy. We've not had an industrial and skills strategy. So what we've had is we've been over-reliant on our economy from overseas workers to fill our skills gap. And they've done a tremendous job in doing that, and we have needed that. But what we really need, as unemployment levels have gone higher
I'm telling you, she's a bloody AI. I'm going to keep saying it. And she's literally looking through crazy eyes like she's going to go do something bad at a post office.
It's about not relying on overseas workers, and we'll always have overseas workers that come and help us, but we also need to have a strategy on how we skill up people here in the UK.
Thank you very much.
We're going to smash the gang, says MB. That is what they're saying.
That because Labour today launched their 6 key priorities for the general election and didn't mention
enjoy.
The
if you're going over to John and Ed, enjoy.
Issue affecting the lives of everybody in this country, namely the population explosion caused directly by migration.
That
the reason we
true.
voted Brexit
That has
and
happened.
the reason Penny's party got the massive majority in 2019 is we voted to reduce the numbers coming in, and the numbers have exploded.
They have.
I mean, honestly, unbelievable. 1 in 30 people walking on the street out there has come in the last 2 years alone. The answer is
that is why our services are streaming so much. That,
it means
along with shutting them down for 2.5 years,
work abroad. We have to have a freeze on the total numbers of those coming in.
Thank you very much, Carla Denyer.
Christine, you're right. Our economy needs migration. Migration does change communities, in my view.
I mean,
that is a positive.
To an extent,
however, I understand it can be unsettling, especially when change happens fast. And it can be particularly unsettling when the government doesn't invest properly in our public services.
Anyway,
we think it's shameful when some politicians scapegoat the people who become our neighbours, our friends, our colleagues.
Well, they're not being scapegoated
from their chronic underinvestment.
It's simply pointing out that the population has exploded.
The solution isn't scapegoating or pulling up the drawbridge. The solution is investing in our communities to make sure everyone has access to the services they need. My party will never engage in that scapegoating rhetoric.
Thank you. Stephen Flynn.
So Scotland has a migration problem. The problem is we don't have enough migrants.
I think John would disagree.
A declining working age population. So we need people to come. And you know what? I am genuinely fed up going to speak to businesses, going to speak to healthcare workers, going to speak to people in our social care sector, in our schools and beyond, who say that they need more colleagues. Businesses who want to expand,
well, then why
who
not
need people to
encourage people to grow the population from within.
That's why I'm in favour of migration. And this race
encourage
to the
people
right
to have children, have families,
so
promote families.
Wrong. We can do better. We
and
must
train people
demand
up.
better. Not just
I know that's a long-term goal / strategy, but why not focus on
Daisy Cooper?
Our NHS,
you know, putting families
our
first.
care service, hospitality, engineering, you name it.
If I'm wrong,
almost every single sector in this
me.
country is absolutely crying out for people with the skills that they need. And under this Conservative government, what has happened is they always pull the lever
for immigration, and people come here and we should welcome them when they do and
I don't
contribute
think
to our
they have
economy.
pulled the lever.
They haven't invested in
But
our
they
domestic
certainly have it
workforce.
pulled it shut.
Liberal Democrats have a plan to give a higher minimum wage to care workers, £2 higher than the minimum wage for everybody else, so
And
we can
then
get people back
what care
working
homes
in
will
the care
do
sector. We want to create
is
a royal
fire
college
people,
of care workers, so
especially
they've got a
private
bigger,
care
stronger
homes,
voice and give them genuine
when they can't
vocation
afford
and
it.
training throughout their lifetime. We also need to have a skills lifetime account as well, because people need to retrain and reskill throughout their life. But when people come here to look after our loved ones, we should welcome them, but we must also invest in our domestic workforce at the same time.
Thank you, Daisy Cooper. Rayner.
I think we very much should invest in our
very
domestic
well-worded
work.
question, isn't it? I keep hearing that this is a problem, says Christine. And you know what? I think we need to heed and listen to people who have genuine concerns about the impact of the movement of population, pressures on public services.
He's
But
going to say,
we have to put that in the context of public spending
comes
cuts
the
by
but.
the Conservatives. We have to look at the numbers of immigrants that we need to bring in for certain sectors in health and care and parts of the economy. Listen, I've been on a whistle-stop tour of Wales in the past week.
Are they
I try to
basically
listen to
saying that
people,
the
but
British
the problem we
population
have is that Nigel
refuse or
Farage
will
here has
not
been
do
on a
care
dog
work?
whistle tour
Because that
of
kind
the
of sounds
UK
like what they're
for many,
saying.
many years and exploiting the anxieties that people have. And we really need to change the way that we talk about this issue.
It's making us poorer. That's the point.
Thank you.
It's making us poorer.
Thank you. We are doing these answers uninterrupted. Thank you. Penny Mordaunt.
And public spending
not letting you
is
have your
going
say
up.
yet, Nige.
But you put the question
Not letting you
very
have
well,
your
and I
say.
think whatever the public think about the numbers, what they want from their government and their parliament is to control access of foreign nationals to the UK. So what we are proposing is that every year Parliament will put a cap on the number of family and work visas, informed by what our workforces need, but also what pressures would be put on
Australia
housing
definitely do that.
and community services. That way, we can
Japan
ensure that
just
each
don't
year
like having
the
anybody
numbers
go
come
live
down,
there.
and on our plans,
Japan for the Japanese.
we are due to halve that halve migration by next summer. With us, you get a cap and a plan. With Labour,
that's a load of
they
bollocks,
have no
because they've
cap,
been
no
saying
number
over and over
no
again
plan.
we'll bring the numbers
Thank you,
down,
Penny
and they
Mordaunt,
haven't,
for that.
have
Just
they?
to return to Christine's question, she's hearing that migration
It's a load
levels are
of
too
bollocks.
high, getting higher, putting a strain on those public services. She understands as a country, she says that we need some foreign workers. What are we going to do about it?
I mean, she didn't write this
Just before we
question.
get
She
the
was handed
debate
this question on
flowing,
the way in.
please raise your
Nige get an
hand
answer?
if you think the net level of legal migration, that is the additional number of people coming to the country to work and live, needs to fall. Please raise your hand. The number needs to fall.
What a sorry
Nigel
reflection.
Farage, Penny Mordaunt.
It's due to fall anyway.
Daisy Cooper, Angela Rayner.
Well, even Angela Rayner's
That's
saying
exactly. That's the Westminster
not at
status
all.
quo. Of course
No,
it
no,
is.
no.
The four main
Stephen.
parties.
No, it isn't.
The four main
No, it isn't,
parties,
Stephen.
all with the exact
I welcome
same-
immigration because I think
Wait,
that people
has he
come
just
here
said
and they're
Nigel
more likely
Farage
to
is one of the
prop
main
up
parties?
our public services and work
Is
in our
that what
public
he's just
services
said?
rather than they are to put a drain on our public services. So I welcome immigration in this country because they contribute to our public service. But the numbers are due to come down anyway. But I think part of the reason we have so many people coming here, and I welcome them when they do, is because we're not investing in our domestic workforce, and we can do both at the same time.
Okay,
Yeah, but I
thank
think
you.
we
There
need
was
to
some pretty strong
prioritise
language
the
used towards
investing.
Nigel Farage about dog whistle tours and scapegoat politics. What's your response to that?
I'm just
Nigel
talking
Farage?
numbers. We haven't even mentioned housing yet.
But could you respond to that point in
Oh, no, I
particular?
ignore that nonsense. Complete nonsense. I'm just
Fair
talking
enough.
pure facts. Housing. We have to build one new home every 2 minutes just to cope with legal net migration under this Conservative government. It is literally impossible. And as for the numbers coming in, I would respond to this. 50% of the 750,000 who are coming in a year are dependents. They're not wealth creators. And mass migration is making us poorer. You'll hear, oh, GDP's going up. Well, of course it is. There are more people. GDP per capita, our relative wealth, has declined for the last 6 consecutive quarters.
I hear Nigel talking a lot about. I hear Nigel Farage talking a lot about
Facts.
dependence.
Facts.
The problem that we have in higher education now is that changes in visa requirements means that family members aren't able to come and study to accompany students to.
I don't think family members should be accompanying students. If you're coming here to study, why do you need to bring your family?
You can't bring your mum, can you? I mean, come on.
We need people to come to
It's a
study
good
in our
point.
universities.
It really really is a good point.
People from abroad to care for our loved ones. They should be able to bring their loved ones with them.
Come on, Mr. Ed, calm it. No, they shouldn't, Mr. Ed. No.
Here. You did raise your hand alongside Nigel Farage on that question, Angela Rayner.
Yeah, because the Tories, they talk about a cap, but we've had net migration
they have
going up
to
and
say
up
it.
because our
Okay.
economy
Labour
has
have to say it now because they want the vote back from, you know, the red wall that voted blue.
But what we've said is that we need an industrial and skills strategy because we've got unemployment going up in the latest figures.
You've
so
had
we've got to make sure
years to come up with some ideas on this, and we have. We've got a workforce plan for the NHS. We've got a workforce plan for social care.
You don't have a workforce plan for social care.
It will inform a
refused to publish
vote on the floor of the House of Commons from your democratically elected representatives. Will be able to cap the visas.
It is absolute rubbish. You've
talk about the issues that the questioner put.
Once again, there's a cat fight going on.
You have no workforce strategy.
I should have got like a cat fight sign.
You have no
Are you talking to me or Rishi?
Thank you.
Are you talking to me or Rishi? Because that is exactly...
I can now not understand what they're saying.
What's your plan?
Thank you.
It's just,
Thank you.
it's just
I'm going to
shrill.
Thank you, Angela Rayner. Stephen Flynn.
It's the...
Follow that. The reality is that Angela was being quiet because the leader of her party, Keir Starmer, just a couple of years ago, said that we should be talking about the positive benefits of migration. And I actually believe that Angela Rayner probably agrees more with me on this topic rather than she does Nigel Farage or Penny Mordaunt. But the Labour Party has changed, and it's changed in the wrong direction.
It's
and when
changed
Nigel
for
Farage
votes.
Tells you
not
all
because they believe
that
in
migrants
it.
are making you poor and they're the problem. Don't believe him. Do you want to know the biggest
that's
problem
not
facing
what he said.
the UK economy right now? His pet project of Brexit. 40 billion worth of tax receipts.
You have to laugh, right?
And do you want to know what makes it worse? The Labour Party back Brexit as outlined by their manifesto today.
Well, why is that worse?
Because to respond, Angela Rayner,
the British electorate voted for it. I don't care if people don't like it. I voted Remain. They voted Remain. Sorry.
Look, first of all, we respect the result of the referendum. I know that the SNP never do, but we do, and that's what we've said on that point. On the second point,
and also at the time, I had no idea what the European Union was. I certainly would not vote Remain if we got to do it all again.
Have an economy that relies on just overseas workers. We have to also have an industrial and skills strategy when unemployment is going up in the UK that we can train and fill our skills gaps as well.
You haven't had to do anything else.
Penny, you've been in power 14 years. 14 years. You haven't got one.
You don't.
They really need to stop talking over each other.
We never got one. You promised to bring down net migration.
What are they saying?
Thank you very much, Penny Mordaunt, Angela Rayner. I think we might have just been
the worst of all possible worlds for the EU because they will
come on, Julie, step in here.
Any of the benefits of membership.
Penny,
you keep talking about your workforce strategy. What are you doing to deal with the emigration?
Julie
the
Etchenham's
people
useless.
leaving
Carla.
from our health and social care because
Carla.
they're not being properly paid for the work they do?
I'm fighting Labour's plans to tax our healthcare professionals on their pensions. That's what I'm fighting. Senior nurses, doctors are going to leave the NHS, and they're also going to be piling on additional pressures into our
Penny, we haven't won the general election
next time, and we'll try and find someone who says that's why they're leaving.
I won't be on the All right, Nigel Farage.
Of course she only tells Nigel to shut up.
What are they going to do about it? Neither of them will do anything. These people have lied to us repeatedly, and Labour,
they can clap him, but what is he lying about?
Always told the truth.
Always
said what I've. And Labour, it's not even in your first 6 priorities for government. You haven't got the will to do anything about it. Nothing under these is going to change.
I told you.
And the vast majority.
I agree. I don't think they believe in it at all.
Representative in that sense.
They don't believe in it at all. They're just saying it to get votes.
Net migration reduced significantly.
Angela Rayner, whilst I pick my cards up.
Thank you. Well, actually, in our first steps, we talk about a border force command so that we can deal with the crossings and
they want to smash the gang.
Because the Rwanda scheme will never work.
What is that going to do? Excuse my language.
Put that money into tackling the gangs, and Keir Starmer
tackling
said
the
today
gangs.
He's worked on counter-terrorism with overseas before. We can do it again. These gangs that are putting people's lives at risk should not be carrying on in the way they are.
Migration. And again, you have no plan
You've had 14
well, tell everyone
years
what you're going to do with illegal migrants.
They're going at it again.
What are you going to do with illegal migrants when they come here, Angela?
We have said that
Round
we
12.
will fill our skills gap with an industrial strategy to match people to the skills. Because what the Tories...
Thank you.
You're not letting me finish.
Your leader was asked a specific question at the manifesto launch today.
Thank you.
And your leader couldn't answer it.
Penny Mordaunt, thank you. I must bring in...
with illegal migrants that come
Thank
here?
you, Penny Mordaunt.
Angela Rayner mentioned the border force. Angela Rayner mentioned the border force. We're back to Brexit here. Of course, it's more difficult to control our borders and immigration because of Brexit and the fact that our relationship isn't what it was with the European Union. And on Brexit, £4 billion has been spent on controlling our borders when we used to have borders that were free. And the question I ask myself time and time again in this election is, what has happened to Labour? After Brexit, I didn't want to leave the European Union, but once that vote happened, we had to think of ways, of trying to protect our interests.
No, you didn't. You thought of ways to try and get back into the European Union. Because none of these people could stand the fact that they lost this vote. They all hate him because of it. They hate Nigel because of it.
What happened to you? Why won't you even talk about that in the Labour Party now? It's because you're
this is why he's resonating with so many
Nigel
people.
Farage, and we end up in the trouble that we're in.
Angela Rayner, respond directly to that
point. First of all, nobody thinks people should be crossing on small boats and putting their lives at peril. That's why we don't think these gangs should be allowed to do that. That's why we're putting money into
let us know you're alive.
And in terms of, what we're going to do to support,
don't show them the ginger growler.
Part of the question was, but
okay. All right, if you're so...
The AI is breaking, can't remember the question.
I'm just gathering my thoughts as well as gathering my cards here. So we're just going to draw a little bit of a line, but actually stay broadly on the subject, as you'll see, because you're quite keen to talk about Brexit. Before we go to our next break, I'd like to ask you all a pretty quick-fire question from Ken in Caerphilly. He told us that he had a simple question, yes or no.
Oh, yes or no.
If elected, would you ever rejoin the EU or the single market? Angela Rayner.
No, and your other question before was Brexit, and as a result of the referendum, that's what we respect.
You would never rejoin the EU or the single market?
No.
Shameful.
Thank you.
Shameful.
Daisy
Not on the table at this election, unfortunately, but at some point in the future, I very much hope so.
Thank you very much. Penny Mordaunt.
No, and if you have a Labour government, they will take you back in, they will tie you on defence, on migration, on regulation, without any of the benefits of membership.
Carla Denyer.
Yes, when the time is right.
Thank you. Nigel Farage.
No, we're free. Unfortunately, we're governed incompetently, but at least there are mistakes and not somebody else's.
Stephen Flynn.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Andrea.
I have no doubt that Wales is best served by being in the European Union, but for now, let's get back in the customs union and the single market to help our economy.
Thank you all very much for being so sharp and quick and clear with your answers on that. We will leave that issue there. For now, much more after the break, when we'll be discussing the cost of living and also giving each leader a chance to...
We'll be discussing the cost of living crisis, where they will be asked, why are we in such a cost of living crisis? They will then give you a load of bollocks like, oh, because of the pandemic and because of Ukraine and all of this, when in reality, yes, the pandemic is to do with it, but it wasn't the actual, thing itself, the event itself. It was the people standing in front of you's decisions to close the economy and hand a blank check to middle-class people to sit at home and bake banana bread. That's why we're in the situation we're in. Because of furlough, because of shutting down the economy for like 2 years and just writing a blank check out. That is why inflation is skyrocketing. That is why so many businesses went bust, because they didn't write the checks to everybody, especially self-employed people. The hospitality sector drowned. And this is why we are in the situation we're in. So let's go to the comments whilst we wait. And I hope you guys are enjoying my coverage tonight. Natalie says, I can't stand listening to any of them. I'll tell you what, next time Angela and Penny go at each other, because they will, I'll just start going, cat fight, cat, or we'll start a chant of Jerry, Jerry, in honour of Jerry Springer. Patrick Crawford says, why is the host of the debate useless, no control, Mordaunt talking over everybody? Because I've noticed this. So we've covered all of the election debates so far, and I've not seen a good moderator yet. The only one that I could kind of call good, quote unquote, was Beth Rigby last night, and that's because it wasn't actually a debate. She had them on one at a time, and she asked them direct one-on-one questions. But the actual moderators of these debates so far have been awful. Julie Etchingham is not doing a good job. Pride of Yorkshire says they don't need to cross already in France. Coming here for one reason: free money, free accommodation. Government duly obliges to migrants. See England, land of utopia. Many people feel the same way as you. And once again, this sort of language is what Nigel Farage is speaking. And that is why, in my opinion, so many people, especially on social media, are flocking to him. They're looking at him as some kind of celebrity. They're looking at him as someone who speaks their language. Shanti says none of them know what the truth is. And, well, of course, they're politicians. In what world do we think that politicians are telling us the truth? Do you honestly think, looking at the Labour manifesto of today, that manifesto is going to be implemented? Or if they get a thumping majority, they're just going to implement other things that weren't in the manifesto within days of coming into power, just like they did under Tony Blair. Now, many people, especially the people who are supporting Labour right now, the young people, weren't even alive or were just small toddlers when Tony Blair and New Labour came to power. And I'm telling you now, this current Labour Party is that all over again. I mean, Tony Blair is basically leading Keir Starmer's campaign from behind the scenes. He's in his ear. So, I don't know. I don't know. Harold says she only tells Nige to shut up. Well, yeah, and Angela Rayner, she was trying to get. She's trying. It's a very soft touch, isn't she? The moderator tonight. Very soft touch indeed. But we are where we are, and we've got just over half an hour more of this. So I hope you guys stick with us. If you hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because tonight me and John will be live with a much more light-hearted show, Chasing Dissent All In, where we'll take the piss out of the news a bit more. We'll laugh, we'll cry. I mean, I'm trying to entertain you tonight. I'm just not really finding much to do that with. I'm really not. Shanti says, what borders? Artifact in reality. Harold says tonight. No, not tonight. But once this show is finished, you can go and jump into John and Ed's show, who are live right now on the same channel. All right, we return.
Welcome back to the ITV election debate, where 7 of the country's political leaders are making the case for why they should get your vote. With our next question, it's now time to turn to Janice from Penarth in South Wales.
Hi, Janice.
Good evening. Britain is a rich country. I've worked in housing for 32 years. Why am I working every day with individuals and families who never thought they'd struggle, but now rely on food banks?
I've just told you why. I told you why in the break.
Homelessness.
Thank you very much.
Because they shut down the economy.
Nigel Farage.
That's why.
Because people are getting poorer. It's quite simple. You know, I mentioned a few moments ago that GDP, wealth per capita, has fallen for the last 6 consecutive quarters.
It has.
It's very much
because of inflation.
It's been the same. It sort of began with
because
Labour, but it's
they
continued.
Shut down the economy for 2 years and wrote a blank check.
In which the
That's
big corporates and the big banks and a certain group of people have become richer exponentially, and everybody else has fallen behind. And
because of shutting down the economy.
Perhaps, you know, we could have expected when we were younger. Our kids and grandkids now find a house unaffordable. Rents have risen by 20%, in some parts 30%, just in the last 3 years. And I'm sorry.
None of them are going to say the truth. They're not. None of them, including Nigel on this one.
And the
because
massive
he's blaming the population explosion.
And
that is a part of it, okay? That is a part of it.
And we have
but
to
this issue
build more houses,
is more to do with the shutdown of the economy.
Take the poorer people
That's the reason.
out of tax. Increase the tax
Thank you very much.
to £20,000, get people back to work.
Thank you very much.
I agree with that, though.
Nigel Farage. Thank you for that. Really
I mean, I'd love to see £20,000. I've never seen £20,000 in my life. I've got
country
less than £100 in the bank, and I have a family of 4.
The world. And it's because of that we were so ill prepared for the cost of living crisis. Some, of course, was exacerbated by.
You should have been extremely prepared for it, because
and global
people told you exactly what was going to happen.
Never forget Tresonomics and the crashing of the economy at
Tresonomics would have actually made us
So what
wealthier.
we had was a cost of living
Just
crisis.
saying.
Yes, a cost
it wasn't
of
allowed to
inequality,
happen.
A crisis, a cost of lack of investing crisis,
although she should have cut. She should have cut that.
opportunities.
That was a missed opportunity.
Somehow we have got to get government to recognise the importance of dealing with inequalities before they can make opportunities open to all. And that is what is so missing from what Labour is offering, tied at the hip as they are to the Conservatives.
Thank you very much.
But of course they are, because I call them the Uniparty.
There's an easy answer to your question, which is the Conservative Party is the problem.
Agent
But
47
to look more deeply
targets
into
the Conservative
policy
Party.
aspect of this, we've had 14 years of austerity. Then we've had the damage of Brexit and what that's done to the economy, the shrinking of the economy, the £40 billion
He should use that Agent 47 thing on his campaign.
Out of the economy.
I'm
Then, of course,
coming
we
to
had
get
Liz
you,
Truss's
Tories.
decision to
Oh,
crash
aye.
the economy. And, of course, on top of that, we've had
Well,
the
actually, in
mismanagement
Scotland, I'm
of
coming to
primarily
get you,
Scotland's energy
SNP.
resources,
Oh,
which has
well,
led
wait,
to everyone in
I
this
am
room
the
and everyone across
SNP.
these aisles,
Fuck.
energy bills
We're
going
gonna
through the
be out
roof.
of government
The thing that concerns
soon.
me the most is what comes next. And the status quo consensus in Westminster is for £18 billion of public sector cuts, isn't it, Angela?
Thank you very much indeed. Daisy Cooper.
The cost of living crisis is a complete catastrophe. And
Caused
it's affecting
by
people in
you lot.
every single community
All of you lot.
across our country.
You caused it.
There was a point at which we used to say people were choosing between heating and eating, but there are people now who can't afford either. And it's devastating.
Well,
So
you
we
shouldn't
Liberal
have closed the
Democrats were
economy
first
then,
party
should
to
you?
call for a windfall tax on the big oil and gas companies because we saw the raw injustice of those companies raking in billions of pounds in profits whilst people couldn't afford to heat their homes. And that's why we're still saying we would close the loopholes in that windfall tax to raise more money so we can increase people's the warm home discount and start insulating people's homes. We would spread free school meals to every single child living in poverty in this country so they can afford to have at least one meal a day to help them sleep and study. And we must invest £1 billion in our farmers to reduce the price of
£1 billion
healthy, locally grown food.
is not a lot of money in the grand
It's a very
scheme of
important
things.
question.
It's not.
Stephen gave a resume of what the problems were, but without any of the solutions. We need to grow our economy. We haven't had growth in our economy. The Tories have taxed us the highest burden in 70 years. We also need to build the houses that people need. The Tories haven't built those houses. That's why we've said we'd build 1.5 million homes, including social housing that we desperately need. We need a new deal for working people.
Just like
which
the
I'm
last lot
incredibly
said they
proud of,
won't.
to make sure
They
that
won't
people
either.
have secure, good paid jobs, and we need Great British Energy to bring down energy bills so we're not
Great
relying on
British
people like
Energy
Putin
is
for our
not
energy
going to
needs, which
bring
has meant
down
people's
energy
have
bills
scored- have
because
gone
it's
sky
not
high.
an energy company and you won't be able to get
Well, thank
energy
you for what
from
you
it.
do.
It's an
And you'll know from the
investment
people that you
vehicle.
work
They're
with
using your
that
money to
when you're facing
generate energy
financial
to sell
hardship,
on for a
how
profit
frightening that
to
is
other
and
places.
how exhausting
That's what
it
Great
is,
British
because you have
Enemy,
to be so
Energy is.
I think
It
this
is
is the
not
issue
an energy
of
company.
the
You will
election.
not be able to get your
And
power from
It
it.
is not true to say that we've put the highest
They're
burden
going to put your
on,
money into
the
it
poorest.
to invest
the tax
to
burden
sell
on
for a
those
profit.
on low and middle incomes is the lowest that it has been since 1975. We've got 4 million people into work. We have 1 million fewer working households. But what we need to do now is cut tax. We have to enable people to keep more
You need
of the
to cut
money
back
they
to
earn.
10%.
That is what
That's
we
it.
will
Cut
do.
that altogether. Don't
Labour
need
will
it.
do the opposite. They will put up taxes.
Well, cut it
They
low.
will put up bills.
Give people more
and the
spending
people you
power, and then they
work with
spend.
will suffer.
And then you get little and often, rather than people unable to spend because of the VAT burden.
Responses, and it is Carla Denyer's time to respond. Carla Denyer.
Thank you, Janice. You're right. The rich are getting richer, but the poor are getting poorer.
Because of
we think it's
shutting
time
down the
to
economy.
bring fairness back into our
That's
economy
why.
by asking the billionaires and the multimillionaires to pay a bit more and introducing a £15 minimum wage.
Can't
an
do that.
immediate £40 uplift, weekly uplift to universal credit.
£15
and
minimum
lifting
wage will
the
put
cruel
small businesses out of business.
two-child benefit cap, which both the
Look
Conservatives
at California,
and the Labour Party support,
10,000
even
fast
though
food
it
workers now out of the
unnecessarily
job
holds
because of the $25 minimum wage.
250,000
Because the
children
businesses can't
down
sustain
into
it. They
poverty.
can't
It's
afford
not
it.
even that expensive to lift, but both the Conservatives and Labour have
And what do
ruled
they
it
do?
out.
They sack
Thank
people
you very much
because
indeed,
they can't
Carla
afford to
Denyer.
pay
And just
them.
a reminder of Janice's questions. She works
And
in
then,
housing.
if
It's
they
very
want to afford to
pertinent
keep
to
them
her.
on,
She's
they
seeing
put
it
the
day in,
prices
day out.
up.
She's asking why so many people are now relying on food banks and are at risk of losing their homes. And just to put some statistics here before we get this debate going, last year the Trussell Trust handed out 3.1 million food parcels, the highest number ever. And the Independent Institute for Fiscal Studies has said this Parliament has been the worst on record for growth in average incomes. Stephen Flynn put some very clear points directly to you, Penny Mordaunt. Perhaps you'd like to respond to them, first of all.
Well, look, we have been
Say
through
sorry
some very,
for closing
very tough
down the
times.
economy and causing
And
this.
the the economy is now turning. Wages have been growing for the last 10 months. This is not the time to suddenly rack up taxes on people. Labour are going to do this. Their leader has said he is going to do this. What you haven't been told is what taxes and on what people. But the average is £2,000 per working household in this country. People can't afford that. You know they can't afford that.
I asked you to respond.
And it will choke off to the recovery.
Stephen Flynn, speak directly to Penny.
You know what the public can't afford, Penny, is any longer
more
one
SMP.
single day more of a Conservative government which is completely out of touch with
the problem is what the public can no longer afford
and ultimately
is this first past the post system where none of our interests are represented.
Economic growth and what comes next, because that's
it's
probably
that
where
simple.
It's going to go.
We can't afford that
Angela
anymore
said that she
because
wants
it creates
economic growth,
situations like this.
Mention the single market, it didn't mention freedom of movement, and didn't mention the fact that the Labour Party have walked away from £28 billion of investment in net zero technologies, whilst the United States, Europe and everyone else is going down that route to grow the economy.
Net zero is a race to the
Westminster
bottom.
Consensus is alive and well. And it
Not
serve
a
you
wealth-generating
and
device.
It'll be the
It
people
isn't.
who need it most, the people
race
who
to the
can't
bottom.
afford the shops, the people who are ultimately living in poverty, who will feel the consequences of Westminster's priorities.
OK, and I'm just going to come back to the question. We really want to root it in this one. Janice is working with individuals and families who never thought they'd...
Told me the exact same story. They're helping people who've never needed their help before. And the key message that they wanted me and other prospective MPs to go away with is an understanding that for too many households, the problem is extremely simple. Money in is less than money out. The government could choose policies that would fix this.
They shut down the economy.
Not to, so's the Labour Party. The Green Party thinks differently.
Daisy Cooper, you wanted to come in there.
So, Penny Mordaunt has said that the Conservatives haven't put tax up, but really? I mean, of course they put tax up, and they even froze the personal allowances, meaning that people were dragged into paying a higher rate of tax. That was an invisible tax increase by the Conservatives.
Get your comments in the chat. I want to know if people agree with me, disagree with me. Chuck your comments in the chat.
Which blew a hole in the public finances and made people's rent and mortgages go absolutely sky high.
Yeah, Paul, you're absolutely right. They will never own up to what they did. Any one of those that was sitting in Parliament is responsible. Any one of them.
To invest in economic growth in order to help our communities during those years when interest rates were low. What they chose to do was have this ideological drive to cut public spending that hit everybody, especially those who are poorest.
Drive to cut public spending? Then what the fuck was furlough if not public spending?
Of the Westminster main parties to invest in allowing us in Wales to make the most of our natural resources through devolving the Crown Estate, allowing us to invest in transport and connectivity through giving us the billions we're owed as a result of HS2 rail in England. That's the ambition that we need. We're not hearing it from the Conservatives, and I regret we're not hearing it.
Fuck HS2!
We need to do something.
There's nothing in the grand scheme of things as to what they did.
If we increase the level at which people start to pay tax to £20,000, that takes 7 million people out of tax. That's up to a £1,500 benefit for people on lower wages. But it helps get people off the benefits trap. Because the benefits trap is if you start to go back to work and earn money, you lose benefits. Plus, we'd rely less on unskilled foreign labour. That's the kind of vision that we need to help those.
And I absolutely sympathise with you. And before they ever did it, I said this would happen. I made video after video after video saying this would happen.
Nigel Farage from Suella Braverman actually
and I was
talked about the two-child benefit cap, which has been raised, just touched on a couple of times. I know that at some point we'll return to that.
Because I know how an economy works.
That two-child benefit cap should be lifted. She's spoken quite warmly about you in recent times.
I know.
Well, I wasn't asking you to respond to that necessarily, Nigel Farage, but she would welcome a lifting of that cap. Would you agree with Suella?
I think we should encourage people to have families. I think we should encourage people to have children.
So they should all disagree with all of those children.
And I think we should also encourage people in marriage.
Oh my God, Chris, man, I'm really sorry.
So that's
I am really sorry that you've lost that amount of money.
We've got to help people.
OK, Angela Rayner, would you agree with Nigel?
I mean, I've never seen that amount of money in my life. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I've got less than 100 quid in the bank, and I've got a family of 4.
Under the Tories.
You know, I'm as working class as they come.
Coming back to the
I'm a disabled man trying to support a family, and I'm trying to do something for myself here and go out alive. alone
and that's sent
you know,
homelessness
build
soaring,
something for myself.
especially for families. And that we also have said we need to make work pay so that people... One of the most scandalous things
but
I've seen...
raising the minimum wage, like old Mr. Ed said over there, raising the minimum wage to £15 is going to get people out of work, not put more people into it.
And that is under the Tories'
it won't,
watch.
and it will raise prices as well,
Rayner.
so it will be completely
moot. We have
moot.
Nigel Farage wanting to get rid of the two-child limit, and Labour is refusing to. Again, I ask, what's happened to Labour?
Well, again, we've said that we'd have
Labour
action
don't
on
care
child
for family.
poverty, but we will not.
You won't lift the two-child limit.
We will not.
A Conservative policy that you are determined to press ahead with, even though it damages some of our poorest families.
We will not do
and it does damage
unfunded spending commitments.
We're talking about the poorest.
Oh, I guarantee you they will do unfunded spending commitments. You just don't know about them yet.
We have identified...
You just don't know about them yet.
Where the problem is. Poor children living in poverty.
Can you let me finish? Yeah, that's why housing... responds to poverty. So does people's work. We've already put things in place that we said we won't do unfunded spending commitments, but we've put free breakfast clubs in schools because actually as a child that was on free school meals as I was growing up, I had to wait to dinner time to get fed.
We
have prioritised what we felt we needed to do.
In a moment. I just want to root, as I said before, in this question, serious risk of homelessness, some of the families and individuals that Janice is working with day in, day out. There's a big question about housing on this, and I'd just like to turn to Carla Denyer.
I owe a lot of money on my energy bills. I can't keep up with them. I can't afford them.
Right.
I can't keep my family alive. Once again,
my whole life.
So I'm trying to go out and do something myself and build this up and build up the Real Review UK because I want to make my kids
about
proud.
15 years ago,
right?
I rented a one-bed flat. The cost of a one-bed flat in the 15 years since has doubled. And we can all agree that wages have not doubled in that time.
There's
and
12
so, yes,
hotels of them on the seafront here.
There is no
12
one single
hotels
bullet. There's no
with them in.
panacea. But there are a group of measures that we
and
can
they're
do
given free
together.
meals a
That
day.
includes creating more
They're
homes.
given room and board. They're given access to dental, which I'm not. I have no dentist. I have to do my own dentistry.
That's a mixture of new build and giving councils the powers to buy the supply more
easily. You can see why people are disillusioned. You can see why people are upset. And you can see why people are flocking to people like Nigel Farage.
Housing we need, the right homes at the right price in the right place, and giving councils the power to keep private rents under control in areas where they're overheated.
The SNP have had some tough questions over the affordable housing budget, Stephen Flynn. Give us your big plan.
Well, of course, in Scotland, it's the SNP that has seen the building, has oversaw the building of 40% more affordable homes than in England and
you also put in laws that criminalise people for telling jokes.
I don't necessarily think that's a tough question to answer. What we're looking at is the future, and ultimately
the SNP are communists.
Have decided to cut the capital budget
That's
for
simple.
Scotland,
So are this,
upon our ability to
so
build
most
more
of the people
homes.
up
But
here,
for the
to be
people who
fair.
are living within those homes, what we've done in Scotland is introduced the Scottish Child Payment. It doesn't exist anywhere else on these isles. The Labour Party won't replicate it. The Tories certainly won't. 100,000 children are going to be lifted out of poverty thanks to that Scottish Child Payment. It is being called a game changer. Will the Labour Party back it, yes or no?
Yeah, and I'd add to Plaid Cymru is proposing £20 extra for every child as well, because again, like the SNP, we recognise that we have to get to grips with the issue of child poverty.
Penny Mordaunt, I'm going to draw a line there, thank you. I think we might find that some of this arises a little later in our debate this evening. We have got quite a lot of time tonight to talk about all sorts of things. So we're going to move on now
what do you mean?
to
I thought this
something
was
a
90
little bit
minutes.
different. We've invited each participant in our debate to ask a short question of
that's
one
only
other
20 more minutes.
person
Don't tell
of
me
their
it's on longer than
choosing.
that.
It's a chance to see what's on the
I
minds
mean,
of
I'll
the
do
different
it.
party representatives and a chance to get some clarity, hopefully,
I'll
on
see it
something
through.
they care about. We've seen the questions.
But you've got to
in
click the
advance.
like button.
However, the 7 on
And
stage
subscribe to the channel
do
if you
not
haven't
know
already.
how the others are using their question. First up is Carla Denyer. To whom are you posing your question, Carla?
To Angela Rayner. Angela, which of your party's U-turns are you most proud of? The ditching of the £28 billion climate investment plan?
That's quite
keeping the cruel two-child benefit cap? Or one of the others?
What I'm not proud of is that we've had 14 years of the Tories and the crashing of the economy.
No,
but
that's
what I
not
am
the
realistic
answer.
about
Answer
is
the
we've got to have a
question.
programme for
Come on,
government which
don't
is
do a
credible,
key.
that can grow our economy so we can
So she's not answering the question. She's just answering something else that wasn't asked.
Eradicate poverty. And I know Labour can do it because we've done it before and we'll do it again.
The Angela AI
I really
was.
feel like that answered my question.
It didn't.
Well,
it didn't,
I
Carla.
did.
No,
I felt it did answer the
she didn't
question.
answer your question at all.
You can't just keep plucking numbers out and say, well, this is what we'll do, because that's what the Tories
That's what a
did.
manifesto is. Fully costed one.
Well, yours wasn't fully costed.
Yes, it was.
The Conservatives unfunded tax breaks, and that's when Liz Truss crashed our economy. We have a fully funded, fully costed manifesto, which has a growth strategy.
No, sorry, Penny, you don't answer somebody else's question, Penny Mordaunt. I'll just do that. Just gently, just stating the case there, Penny Mordaunt.
Agitated over this point.
Don't get agitated, because you're up next, Penny Mordaunt. It's your turn to ask a question. Who are you asking it of?
I'm going to also ask my question to Angela.
Of course, Ginger Growler.
And you're going to be
Rachel Reeves, your shadow chancellor, hasn't ruled out increasing capital gains tax. This would mean higher costs for families when they're selling their homes.
Yes, it would.
Will you commit to ruling that out now?
Come on, Growler.
Rachel has set out, yes, we have set out that we will not raise income tax, national insurance and VAT.
Capital
and we
gains
do not
tax.
need to raise
Answer
taxes
the question.
on working people, because
She's
our
doing it
manifesto
again.
is fully costed.
She's answering a different question.
So you are not going to raise capital gains tax?
There is nothing in our manifesto that means we have to raise capital gains tax, no.
But so you can say that you're not going to raise capital gains tax?
She's answered. Penny
I mean, she hasn't answered.
She has, folks.
Okay.
No, I don't think she's. I don't think she's answered at all.
Nigel Farage.
No.
My question is to Penny Mordaunt.
Oh.
Given that your 2010 manifesto, your 2015 manifesto, your 2017 manifesto said you'd reduce net migration to tens of thousands, your 2019 manifesto said immigration would massively reduce, and that net 4.3 million people have come into the country since that time, why on earth should anybody believe the fifth manifesto that promises cuts to net migration?
Because of the record of this Prime Minister. So we've had...
that's fine, I'm happy.
Figures out today that show that visa applications have fallen by 30%, and the OBR's own forecasts say that we will halve immigration by next summer. That's the trajectory we are on, and
Emma,
we will give...
think what they're doing to me.
Parliament
I've got them directly in my
chance
ears.
to set an
They're in my
annual
ears.
cap on family and work visas. That will be enshrined a legal cap, and that is what we are offering. That's why you can have confidence that those numbers have come down. They're projected to come down, and the only alternative you have in this election
ladies
is
and
that,
gentlemen, is what we like to call
the Labour
a load of
Party have
shite.
on offer. Nigel
That's right.
is a Labour
A load of
enabler,
shite.
and he is enabling no cap, no target, and no plan.
I do.
Penny, let Nigel Farage come back.
I don't believe a single word that you say. You've deceived us with the last four manifestos. I don't believe you in the fifth. And as for being a Labour enabler, we are now ahead of you in the national polls.
OK, thank you.
A vote for you is actually now a vote for Labour.
Thank you very much, all of you, for the questions so far. That's it for this point. That's it for
Nigel.
Thank you very much indeed.
Serious. This is the only two.
Thank you very much indeed for all of your questions.
With us and a
Thank
cap
you very
on
much.
immigration.
Thank you very
Election
much.
night's going to be hilarious, and yes, we will cover it. We'll cover it live right here all night. We'll be here all night.
Shortly, we've had those from Nigel
I'm going to have an
Farage,
IV of caffeine
Carla
just
Denyer.
straight
More
into
of
me.
those to come from
We'll
our
go
other
for it.
four
We'll do it.
participants will be asking their questions after the break.
There's more of this. Can you hear the applause? That applause was only going on there in the studio because there was a sign saying applaud, applaud, because these people are absolute fucking clown shoes. Yes, they are. They're not even clowns. They're clown shoes, boys and girls. I honestly thought this was a 90-minute debate. I'm slowly but surely losing my sanity here. I need some encouragement to keep going. I'll do it for you. Paul says 24-pack of full sugar Coke needed for election night. Well, Paul, I'm not sure I could stretch the budget to that. I'm not going to lie. That's like 14 quid now in Tesco's. That's very expensive. But yes, I certainly would have one if I could afford it. But election night coverage is going to be... not a catheter, right? Because hopefully, if he doesn't fall asleep, John... Because he is old, you know. John is an old boy now. He's pushing 106, so I'll have John with me, and if I need to, you know, bugger off back to the house to take a pee, I will, and John can do his version of entertaining you. I'll tell you what, let me know in the chat right now, do you think we should employ like a live person who sits behind the scenes, you don't see them, and their job is literally to subtitle John, just especially as he gets more and more drunk, right? Just live subtitles for him so people can actually understand what the man is saying. Because I've been doing this show with him for well over 2 years now. And half the time I can't even bloody understand him. And I talk to him every day outside of doing these shows. Paul says I can understand John. Okay, well you can, Paul, but I'm sure there are others that can't. But, you know, it's just an idea I'm floating, a live subtitle person simply to give you the lowdown on what John is actually saying. And when the subtitle person can't understand him, the subtitle person will have my blessing to just make shit up and just put whatever they think he could be saying in the chat. Oh dear. Yes, yeah, we are. Oh geez, we've been at this nearly an hour and a half already. I mean, we've been live for a bit longer than that because we looked at the Labour manifesto before we started. Well, a little bit of it. We didn't look at the whole thing because I was also trying to find a stream for the debate, and obviously we found one. But if you are enjoying it for some reason, then please don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and just like Emma Watts did earlier on, you can become a channel member here for just 99p a month or more if you can afford it, which will help us out as we try and grow the channels, plural, because you can go subscribe to the Real Review UK as well for completely non-political, good, high spirit, nice things, travel, disabled access and stuff like that, but it's close to my heart because I really don't like being confined to quarters, so to speak, as a disabled man. So I like to travel about, and I like to show people where I'm going and show people about accessibility and crack jokes and have a laugh and make videos and just be a little bit silly. So I do that over there, and you can come and subscribe over there and help us grow over there as well. And then hopefully one day I'll actually be able to pay myself some money to pay my bills. Because, as I said earlier on, you know, of these people that they're talking about, these people living in abject poverty, I'm one of them.
Welcome back. We've asked our participants in tonight's debate to ask a question of one other person. Before the break, Carla Denyer, Penny Mordaunt and Nigel Farage had their go. Now it's time for the other four candidates to ask their questions, starting this time with Angela Rayner.
Come on, Angie, what you got? It's going to be for Penny.
I'd like to ask Penny, would you allow Nigel Farage into the Tory party?
They may not have a choice.
Let's see now. I'm a Brexiteer. I believe that if you can't reform European institutions, you should be prepared to leave them. I set up a business before getting into Parliament,
She's going to say
that's why I
no,
always back business. And I believe in rewarding personal responsibility. You might think I have a lot in common with Nigel.
She's going to say
but
no.
What I'm standing against is letting you in and letting you tax the hell out of people. Nigel is helping you do that. So I think we've probably got less in common than you might imagine.
So that's a no then, and apart from your rubbish about us taxing people when you've taxed people the highest in 70 years, which
No,
you keep forgetting and you keep going on about 47 years.
Yes.
Good night, Natalie.
At the end of the next
Thank you for coming along.
Yes, we have had a high tax burden, not, as I said earlier, on low and middle income earners, but overall it has been high. At the end of the next Parliament, on our plans, it will come down. Labour will take it to a record
You're not getting the next
high.
Parliament, Penny.
What they haven't
You're
told
not.
you in this campaign
That simple.
is what taxes and on what people. Okay. She couldn't deny capital gains tax earlier on. What? She can't deny fuel duty. Council
Thank you,
tax.
Penny Mordaunt.
Penny, not only do you not listen to me, you don't listen to the public.
Both Angela Rayner and Penny Mordaunt.
Council tax.
Stephen
they trebled
Flynn,
it in Wales. They need to tell you how they're going to pay for their plans.
Stephen Flynn, time for your question.
It's like being back in the Commons. Angela, it took 4.5 months and the death or injury of almost 100,000 civilians in Gaza for the Labour Party to back a ceasefire. On day one of a Labour government, will you end arms sales to Israel?
Now, this is somewhere...
Stephen, you know as well as I do, what happened on the 7th of October was barbaric, and Israel had the right to defend itself. However,
it's going to cause division, and I really don't want to.
The absolute loss of innocent lives, thousands of innocent lives, everyone in the House, everyone of all political persuasions have been pushing for a ceasefire, as well as our international
Every innocent life lost
counterparts.
Absolutely.
But if we were in government,
it doesn't matter if they're Palestinian, it doesn't matter if they're Israeli. Every single innocent life lost is a tragedy.
On arms sales to Israel, and we will comply with international law.
Thank you very much indeed, Stephen Flynn, for your question about the horrific
that means
scenes
no.
we've all witnessed following the Hamas attacks of October the 7th and the Israeli military action in Gaza since. Thank you for that question. Daisy Cooper, your question.
Everyone else's.
My question is for Penny Mordaunt.
He didn't let him have a. Didn't let him have a say.
The Conservatives promised to recruit 6,000 more GPs and didn't.
The Tory party should save their money and just stand down now. I agree.
40 new hospitals.
I agree, Chris.
Make believe. And since 2015, the Conservatives have missed their cancer treatment target every single year.
Well, that's because they shut down the services.
Or how can anybody trust a word the Conservatives say about protecting the NHS?
Well, we have met many of our manifesto commitments from the last election, including recruiting public sector workers. And that's why you can see we're making improvements in many public services.
I've not seen them.
Earlier. We have a particular
have you, in the chat, have you seen these improvements?
Healthcare professionals, many more doctors, many more nurses. But
have you been able to get a doctor's appointment or a dental appointment? Because I certainly bloody haven't.
To increase taxes and are. It's not right to say that you are going to support the nuclear deterrent when you voted against it.
Thank you.
It's not right to say.
Thank you, Penny Mordaunt. We're going to move on to Ryan Iorwerth's question next. Thank you.
My question is also to Angela Rayner.
They're all to Angela and Penny.
Conservatives on public spending. Maybe I should ask if Labour would accept.
I wonder why that is. It's because only one of them is going to win.
Gordon Brown said child poverty is a scar on the soul of Britain. Now, is it the likely incoming Labour government's two-child benefit cap or the £18 billion worth of cuts to public services which will make the situation worse?
Well, you're absolutely right to recognise that child
Toadfish 2000. Of course they don't believe in their own policy. Of course they don't.
That we have
They're
to
all a bunch of clown shoots, as I said in the break.
Number 10 unit that will look at tackling child poverty, but it's not just about one particular lever. We talked before about housing. That is a problem for people. We've talked about employment. Insecure work is a problem for people. Low wages. So we're going to tackle all of the issues that will help, and the growing of the economy will give us more money in our public services so we can do those things, but uncosted spending commitments is not going to help our economy because the Tories did that.
Stop giving me this costed bollocks.
So our fiscal rules
because the people you're going to try and tax, guess what they're going to do? They're going to take their money and they're going to leave. That's what they're going to do.
Stage this evening. We're going to our final question now, and this is a question on politics itself and
We're at the final question,
in it.
folks.
I'm looking around. I know that Samran's here with your question for our candidates this evening. Samran.
People have lost faith in politics. We feel disconnected from our representatives.
They have, young man.
And sceptical that you will deliver on your promises.
Good.
The public simply doesn't trust our system anymore.
Damn right.
What one change can you make to restore trust in politics?
They need to get rid of first past the post.
Succinct because we're running out of time. So
it's what they need.
If you can, please, Daisy Cooper, one change, one offer.
You're absolutely right that trust in politics
is
broken.
Mr. Ed, just don't say you're absolutely right. Give an answer.
It's not just about who's in power, it's about what you do with power. So we believe in devolving power to local communities so they have more say over what they believe in, and we want proportional representation so that every single vote of every single person actually counts in a general election.
Thank you. Angela Rayner.
You're absolutely right to say about trust in politics. That's why when I've spoke on this panel, there's things that we'd really like to do that we can't do, and we've been honest and upfront about that. But I also think we need...
There's things you're going to do that you haven't told us about when you get your thumping majority. Just watch, people.
And ethics into our politics, which is what Keir Starmer will do in Labour, is exactly what we need to do, because people cannot go around, as they have done, breaking the rules and think they can get away with it. The Prime Minister did. The previous Prime Minister...
The rules should not have existed.
And I think that's undermined all of us as politicians.
Penny Mordaunt.
Did we know what rules I'm talking about?
Well, we're at the dawn of a new parliament, and I think if we want integrity back, then people need to be honest about their manifestos. The only party on this platform that is going to cut your taxes is the Conservative Party. A vote for any other party will increase your taxes. Higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes. Start with honesty in manifestos. Labour have 3 weeks to do that.
Thank you very much indeed, Penny Mordaunt. Rayner, Iorwerth.
How about some honesty about the fact that freezing thresholds has meant higher taxes under the Conservatives whilst they've been cutting
it has.
Public spending?
It has.
And this is the honesty and integrity that we're looking for. We need
Lee Evans there, he's
to be
right.
truthful with people about the challenges that we face. We need good judgment.
Solutions are going to be
We have a
shite.
First Minister in Wales, a Labour First Minister, who accepted a £200,000 donation from a convicted environmental polluter. That's poor judgment, and I wonder if Angela Rayner would have accepted it.
Toadfish, I like you.
Carla Denyer.
I like you a lot.
I think one of the reasons that people have lost faith and trust in their politicians is that most elections there are hundreds of MPs who are totally
I can't be mad at her because she's so little.
Because we have an unfair voting system where the number of votes cast does not match
she's a loon.
with the number
she's
of
Green
seats
Party. She's a
elected.
loon.
That's
but
why
I can't
the
be
Green
mad
Party
at her. Every
would
time I see
change
her,
our voting system in general elections to a proportional system, the fair system that almost every other country in Europe has. Do you know there's only one other country in Europe that still uses first past the post? It's Belarus. And why do we not have a fair voting system? Because Conservatives and the Labour Party...
I agree with this, though. First past the post, it needs to go.
In my view, you should always vote if you
Are they letting Nigel go last so that his statement is the lasting one?
Who will make sure that others can get on in life. And if you're not doing so well in life...
Yeah, she don't look 5 foot, does she, Paul?
Who's going to make things better for you. I think that's a nice and good starting point.
Agent 47 here.
The Westminster system, the way it operates,
SMP,
broken.
ready to go and do, take
Brexit
somebody out.
Being the most obvious one of recent times. Hold your politicians to high standards.
They're going to hold you to high standards in Scotland by SMP.
I do agree that the first past the post system has led to the two big parties. Well, one was big, not after today's polls, but there we are. They're both mushy. Sort of SDP parties in the middle. I would change the voting system. I think the House of Lords is an abomination. The fact that it's filled up with party donors is a complete disgrace. There must be an elected element.
He would go and be Lord Farage if he was offered, though.
More referendums,
I will say that.
So they can decide the biggest issue of their lives.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Nigel Farage. I'll just bring Stephen Flynn in then as in response to some of the things you've heard on improving trust in politics and mending our broken politics.
Well, and I'm just
Why is he coming back
Nigel Farage wants another referendum on Scottish independence. I'm sure there's a lot of folk back in Scotland
that's already happened.
You don't want to lose again,
who'd be very keen to see that happen. If everyone else is so confident about that, let's put it to the test. Let's put power back in the hands of the Scottish people and take it out.
They had what they were told was a once in a lifetime, once in a generation.
You had your pop.
Well, I'll put that to Angela Rayner and then come to Daisy Cooper.
But I think over the last few years, trust in politics has just been blown to pieces. The Conservatives have taken a wrecking ball to standards in public life, and people are sick to the back teeth of the lying and law-breaking from Boris Johnson, the mini-budget from Liz Truss, and the failures from Rishi Sunak. It is time.
That mini-budget would have been pretty good if it's actually been allowed, and they'd added a VAT tax.
I think we have an opportunity now. We're going into a new parliament. I know that my colleagues up and down the country are doing a good job in their
You're probably going to lose your seat, Penny.
They care about the people that
probably
they
represent.
Your seat. We have to hold individuals to account. But if we can't be
honest about
what is in our manifestos, then that doesn't bode well for that parliament. I say it again to Angela, 3 weeks, tell us where your tax rises are coming from.
Okay.
Of course, she's not going to tell you.
I mean, we've said we're not going to be taxing working people. The Tories, judging by our record,
until they do.
They have done that. And Stephen,
I think that record has been well played a little this evening on tax.
My MP is she is a Tory. What's her name? Caroline Ansell. Caroline Ansell.
And that's why people need to vote Labour.
And I met her a couple of times, and she was one hell of a rude woman. Just a rude woman.
Fed up. It's the PPE. Corruption.
She's not even local. She was moved in for the seat.
COVID. We need to hold politicians to higher standards than we've seen in recent years.
The higher standards we need to hold them to regarding that is the fact that they obviously knew that the rules were bunk.
Well, the reason I focused on a fair
that's the standard we need to hold them to.
So much that could be better in politics. But the reason I focused on that is that when MPs have safe seats, they're not held to account. Short of a serious breach of the law and being found to be a criminal, you can do pretty much anything if you're an MP in a safe seat and you'll be re-elected.
A rude
Holding
Tory. Well,
MPs
I
to
never.
account,
Oh, she's
a
very
big part
rude.
of that
Very rude.
is making sure that they are properly answerable to the electorate.
Thank you. So a little variety of ideas in answer to that question. Thank you very much indeed for that, and thank you for all of your responses. So some big ideas on how we might change our politics
Julie, you were a
forward.
terrible,
See what
terrible
we feel.
moderator
That's
tonight.
it for the questions tonight. But it is now time for our candidates' closing
statements,
and our first
boys
this
and
evening
girls.
is with Carla Denyer.
Oh.
I'm going to be straight with you.
Come on, Carla.
The choice you make on the 4th of July isn't just about which party you vote for.
Freedom!
If we look beyond the finger-pointing and squabbling, politics is about choosing the kind of future we want for our children. We all know the Tories are toast, and Labour will form the next government. But are they offering real change, or is it the same broken politics?
Same broken
with
politics.
the red rosette.
Of course it is.
We deserve better.
They're just two cheeks of
So
the
as you
same
watch
arse.
this with
And
your
the
friends
first
or
past the
family,
post system has created
think of who
that.
you want on your side in
Because
the
on the
next
big
parliament,
things, they always agree.
making sure your voice is heard. The Green Party is on the cusp of breaking through in seats up and down the country. And Green MPs will never stop defending our future, protecting our NHS from privatisation and pushing the next Labour government to think bigger and act bolder.
You're not going to be
They'll tell
in
you
any
that's
kind
not
of
how it
opposition
works.
or able to
They'll
do
tell
that.
you have to vote for more of the same. But a vote is a choice. And on
Carla,
the 4th of July,
Carla.
you can choose real hope and real change.
But they won't.
Thank you very much, Penny Mordaunt.
Tonight,
Cornred.
Angela Rayner has proved one thing. Labour will put up your taxes. Labour's track record of economic hardship speaks for itself.
Yes.
The lesson of the last few years is that when Labour are in charge, unemployment rises and tax rises. They will do it all over again.
But the same
They're
thing's going to happen
tax
with
your
you.
Pension, they're going to tax your home.
So will you.
And what you need to know from
They'll
tonight
just do it by the back
is that
door.
they're
They'll
also
say it's
going to
not
push up
tax.
your bills.
And then it will be a tax.
These are hard truths, but better face them now than regret them later. It's your choice, it's your vote, and it's your future in your hands. So, if you value your pension, don't give a blank cheque to Labour. If you value your pension, vote Conservative. If you value your
Speaking
home,
to the old people.
vote Conservative. If you value your future, vote Conservative.
Thank you, Penny Mordaunt. Penny
Don't
Daisy
vote
Cooper.
for any of them.
Our country
Have a
is
protest
crying
vote
out
for
for
like
change,
an
and it's
independent
not
or even
hard to
reform
see
if you
why.
want. But
Day in, day out, all over the country, people are striving just to get on in life. But under this Conservative government, too often, it feels like we're fighting a broken system.
you get the
Nothing
same
works.
with Labour, and let's face
Under Ed
it, the
Davey's
Liberal
leadership,
Democrats
the Liberal
and
Democrats
Ed
are
Davey
promising a
are
fair
not
deal
getting
for
into
the British
government.
people.
Not getting
We
into
will
government.
fix the NHS and social care.
You're having a
tackle
great
the
time
cost of living
campaigning, though.
crisis,
I will say
and
that.
stop filthy
They're having
raw
a great
sewage
time campaigning.
being dumped into our rivers and seas. A vote for the Liberal Democrats is a vote for a
It's a vote for
strong local
Labour.
champion, a vote for a fair deal, and a vote to help deliver the change that we all so desperately need. And in so many parts of the UK, a vote for the Liberal Democrats is the best chance of finally voting this disastrous Conservative government out of
I can
office.
assure you it's not.
Thank you, Angela Rayner.
The choice at this election is simple. More chaos with the Conservatives
Or the ginger
or
growler.
change with Labour. Imagine waking up on the 5th of July to 5 more years of a chaotic Tory government.
But that's what we'll get
years
if you
of
win.
high tax and low growth.
Which is what
while
we'll get if
everything gets
you
more
win.
expensive. Crime going unpunished.
It doesn't make a
NHS
difference,
waiting lists
people.
getting longer.
Doesn't make a
The
difference.
Tories have left you and our country worse off. A vote for Labour is a vote to end the chaos. We know we can't tax our way to growth. Labour's plan for growth and wealth creation is about stability, investment and reform. Economic stability is change.
Jesus.
We will bring down NHS
It's just
waiting
waffle,
times
isn't
with
it? It's just
40,000
waffle,
new
waffle,
weekly
that
appointments.
is not
And we'll
speaking to
secure
the
our
average
streets
person.
and our borders
I mean,
with
as the
more
average
neighbourhood
person,
police
I've got,
and border
I've said it
security
100 times
command.
tonight, but I haven't got a
Vote
pot
Labour
to piss in.
for the change.
And these people are not going to give me that pot to
Let's
piss in.
start with the good news. The
I will
Tories
give me that
are
pot to piss
finished.
in. I will,
14 years
I
of
will
Cameron, Clegg, May, Johnson,
work
Truss,
and work and
Sunak,
work and
that's
work and
finally
work to finally
coming
get
to a
myself an
close.
income.
So now our attention must turn
But I won't work
to
for somebody
what
else.
comes next.
I'll work for
and
me.
at a time when there should be hope and optimism, there is so little on display.
Agent
Keir
47 here.
Starmer's
Look,
status
if you
quo
did your
offers
job,
us yet
Agent
more
47,
cuts
then
and yet more Brexit.
I'm just
In
saying.
the SNP, we
You
don't
did your job.
accept that cosy Westminster consensus. We believe in better.
If anybody
investment
doesn't
in our
understand
NHS,
that
action
reference, go
on
and look up
cost
the
of living
Hitman
crisis,
games.
rejoining the European single market, economic growth by delivering net zero, Scotland's future in Scotland's hands. So on July 4th, vote for that future. Vote SNP to put Scotland's interests first.
They hate
Stephenson,
you
thank you.
in
Nigel
Scotland.
Farage.
They really don't like you.
Unlike the rest, I don't need a script. I've come out of
He said
retirement,
this last time.
back into politics with passion in my heart. And I'll tell you, Britain is broken.
I reckon
Everyone knows it,
he's got the
and
makeup
Britain
over the
needs
barcode board.
reform.
Yes.
The election is over under our system. We know that Keir Starmer's going to win and probably have quite a big majority. The question is, who will lead the opposition? Because for democracy to work, there has to be a voice of opposition. And I put it to you that Ed Davey of the Liberal Democrats won't do that.
No, he
because he
won't.
actually agrees with Labour on most things.
That's true.
Rishi Sunak won't do it. Well, he'll probably be in California.
That's
by then.
also true.
Anyway. And the Tory party is split down the middle and about to implode in this election. I say to you, I will stand up against open borders. I will stand up and say those that come illegally across the channel should be deported. I will stand up and fight for the millions of men and women running small businesses. I have the courage to take on the mob. Please join the revolt.
That is why people are looking to him, because he's speaking off the cuff and he's speaking people's language.
Invited onto a debate being
These
broadcast
people
across
don't understand
the whole
the
of
regular
UK.
person.
Well, firstly, I hope some of what
I get
have
it.
said
I
has
understand
resonated
it.
with you, wherever you are, and that you agree we need to do politics in a different way.
But you
the
ain't.
fact that some
Mr. Evans,
do
I'm
think
sorry, but
that
you're not going to.
reflects what Plaid Cymru is all about. We are here to offer a positive vision of what Wales could be, knowing that time and time again, our aspirations go unheard by Westminster governments, be that Labour or Conservatives. Now, the truth is, throughout the UK, there are communities who feel ignored and overlooked, and I hope you stand up for your community.
There's
And
not
for
a single
me,
one of these
it'll
people,
always be
including
about
Nigel,
standing up
that speak
for
to my
Wales.
beliefs. I mean,
now it's high time.
I
that
understand
Conservatives were
Nigel
kicked
speaking
out
the
of
language
power,
that I
Labour
understand,
will
but
have to
I will
be
never
held to
agree with any of these
account
on everything.
And Welsh voters can do that through Plaid Cymru MPs and their vision for fairness and ambition for Wales. Vote Plaid Cymru on July.
Thank you very much indeed. And that brings us to the end of
Juliet
the ITV
Chinham, you
election
have
debate
been a
2024.
terrible,
I hope it's
terrible
been
moderator.
Useful. Thank you to our questioners and to the 7 party representatives for sharing their plans. The power is now with you, because in 3 weeks' time you get to vote to decide. Thanks for watching.
Whoa. Right, boys and girls, that was the second 7-way head-to-head leaders debate, and I provided commentary throughout. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And if you did, could you, on your way out, could you please hit that like button? I would really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I just want to say a huge, what the hell is going on here? But a huge thank you to everybody, the hundreds of people that have tuned in throughout the night tonight. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone that's been here. And yeah, it's tough to hold down the fort on my own. I haven't done it in such a long time, and it's really nice that people showed up. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate each and every one of you. But when it comes to this lot, when it comes to these clown shoes, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things which one of them you vote for. The thing that needs to be a priority in all of our lives, this might sound selfish, but the thing that needs to be a priority in all of our lives is ourselves, our own family. And These people are selling you dreams. They're selling you phantom ways out of things. We're going to make it better for you. But they're not. They're not going to make it better for you. I know that sounds cynical. It really does. But it's the only thing I can say. And as I always say here on Chasing Dissent, you don't have to believe a word that I say. You don't have to agree with a word that I say. You don't have to. In fact, I do like it when people want to debate what I say. So always think about contacting and saying if you disagree. We'd really appreciate it. But on that note, if you have enjoyed this, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, hitting the like button, and of course, if you want to go that little bit extra mile, there are other ways to support us: Ko-fi, Patreon, and right here on YouTube, where you can become a channel member from just 99p a month, as Emma, our newest member, did at the top of the show. And all you got to do there is click the join button, and you can gift them to others in the chat as well if you really do feel that way inclined. But boys and girls, I am out of here, and we will be back tomorrow night, 9 PM UK time, for Chasing Dissent All In. I hope as many of you pop along there as have done tonight. Thank you for watching. It's been great for you.
Welcome to the chase, where the sense of thrill. Ben and John are here and taking time stand still. Diving deep where others just pretend. They get kind on this journey, chasing dissent. Dissent. True hits of stride, don't be content. Join the chase, be omnipresent. With Ben and John, no time is misspent. On the trail, with Chasing Dissent. With Chasing Dissent.
Thank you all for watching, and good night.